It's the Analyst Desk. Welcome to the show. It's the Analyst Desk. Yeah, in case you didn't know, it's the Analyst Desk. Welcome to the show where every day feels like game day, bro. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Analyst Desk. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst. You may have seen us on the weekend as we were here, there, and everywhere. Not sure who your name is who recognized us at TD Place, but thank you very much for coming up to us and saying hi. He didn't take a selfie with Dan, though, and that's a little disappointing. How you feeling, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I always love it when fans take selfies with me. You know, I love meeting the people. It was so cool meeting someone who recognized us in Ottawa. So thank you so much. And
I took a picture with a pirate.
I saw that. That was pretty cool.
So that's a fan who always comes to the game dressed as a pirate.
Oh, that's amazing.
And of course, we have Rick from Hamilton Sports sent you, who looks like he's in a kimono.
No, I just have a blanket around me. It's just cold.
He's
What's
cold.
ASC Kate?
Okay, first off, Jacob or Dan, it's my channel name, but because of the whole thing in Hamilton, Kate.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Oh, I changed my name and it took you guys long enough to understand.
I noticed it. I just knew what it was. And of course,
well, I'm stupid. I can't read.
The man of mystery, Adam the Goat, who we both have something in common because I'm starting to get gray hair. And Grace.
I'm so disappointed.
Adam, you need to take me to your petting zoo for the eternal you from getting old.
Why don't you guys just do this and not worry about gray hairs?
That's a good
For anyone listening on our Spotify side, Dan is wearing a hoodie to hide his lack of hairline instead of a hat.
First time I've seen Dan without a hat on. Not gonna lie.
But it's time to talk about week 3 of the CFL. First of all, I want to say to Ottawa and the city and the stadium, thank you for your hospitality as the Analyst Desk and Hamilton Sports Central was on the road.
Yes, sir.
I will say I do want to talk about a little bit about Ottawa as an atmosphere in general. I like that they do the street parties, how they close down the road, they get the restaurants involved, the vibe. It's enjoyable. Coming from a Toronto fan where the vibe is, here's a parking lot.
Toronto vibe's like a graveyard.
I will say, though, the one bar on the corner opened up at like 10 o'clock because they knew that people were tailgate and coming early.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Very nice. Who wants a 10 a.m. Guinness? Not me, because I don't like Guinness. But unless Guinness wants to sponsor us, then I freaking love Guinness. But of course,
wow, Jacob, you're willing to sell out your drinking habits.
I am. I'm willing to.
I will sell off anything.
I am willing to drink their beer that tastes like gravy.
I will say though, I spent almost 10 hours in a car just to watch a 2.5-hour football game.
Yep.
That means you just got to drive fast. Okay. But of course, we're going to break down what happened in that game, as well as Edmonton undefeated. Crazy.
What?
Hamilton continues to impress. Montreal and Calgary with tough losses. And Chad Kelly, crazy stat line, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got to talk about that.
The good and bad of the Chad.
I really wanted to get into this Edmonton Elks team finally taking down the quote-unquote great Davis Alexander. Undefeated, no more. And okay,
should have been week 1.
Last episode, I said to you guys, I think Justin Rankin might be the best player in the CFL. And I got a lot of negative feedback from you guys. I would like to state he was over 200 yards combined now for the second straight game.
Hey, I wasn't negative. I just said I wanted to see more out of him. I just said you got to pause, wait a minute, and see how his season goes. I didn't say he wasn't. I just said you need to give him more time. Why are you you declared it to him week 1 of the season? Like you needed to chill a little bit. Let it sit.
If the season was 1 week long, then sir.
Okay, but Justin Rankin.
But he played well.
I have one thing before I jump on this Justin Rankin train. I want to see what he can do against Sask first. Before anything. If he can do well against Sask, then that's a whole different story. If he does dog doo-doo, then he ain't nothing. And you gotta remember, he had one good game against a good team and good game against a garbage team. So let's not
fair. But Montreal, you know what? A lot of people in our comment section were saying this team is the team to end all teams. And you got to remember, Justin Rankin led the team in receiving and rushing this week. So we had 18 carries, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns with a long of 47. He also went 5 for 5 in receptions and 51 yards with a long of 21. Look, I'm just saying, Justin
you talk about his like stats, but Jacob, you missed out on the 9.9 average yards per carry is insane. That's
crazy.
He basically averaged 10 yards per carry.
Basically
Montreal's rush defense could not stop him. He just ran it down their bloody mouths, and that's a great thing for Edmonton, is that the run game is working, because the pass game was good. 231 yards is amazing. Mm-hmm. But when you can do that and serve up a nearly 200-yard rushing game as well, that's a recipe for being really good. That's a good recipe.
The team did rush for over 200 yards combined, of Justin Rankin 179, Cody Fajardo with 20, and Cole Snead with 2 yards on a short yardage play. So I will say too, I think you got to give your flowers to Cody Fajardo as well. Cody Fajardo has this knack of, his stat line isn't great. Everyone doubts this guy, but he finds a way to win. And I have been a big Cody Fajardo fan for a while, actually. And Dan, I'm calling you out here. You've always said Cody Fajardo just doesn't have it for you. So now this guy, remember, he won a Grey Cup as a backup and a starter. He's now taken this Edmonton Elks team that this is the first time they've won their first 2 games in a season since before the pandemic. Are you starting to finally believe in Cody Fajardo, or do you still want to see more?
You're putting words in my mouth, first of all, because I was not a Cody Fajardo fan. However, after we went to the Grey Cup in 23 in Hamilton and we saw him beat Winnipeg, then I started believing in Mr. Fajardo. I think he got a very bum rap in Montreal, and I think now he's proving that he is a franchise guy. Because don't forget, Edmonton technically signed Cody Fajardo last year to back up a Trey Ford. I don't know what people were smoking when they did that move, but anyway, that's technically what happened. And he's like, hold my beer, I'm just going to make this team a winning team again. That's what he did. I wanted to add about the Justin Rankin, though. I like the potential of where he's going. And I think, Jacob, you have an extremely valid point. If at the end of the season he's still putting up 200 yards a game, then you can easily say, yeah, he's the best player in the CFL. I hope he does it consistently. I think he can get at least 100 yards a game consistently. And even at that, then you can arguably say he's the best player, because we never did a list of top players because we just got too busy. I'm sure we'll do it, once all the NHL stuff wraps up. But going into the year, much as I hate to say it, I would say Nathan York was the best. But I think if Justin Rankin can keep doing this consistently, then yeah, Jake, I'm taking your point and saying that Rankin is the best player in the CFL, because to be a franchise guy as a running back is really unheard of in a flowing league.
But I want to point out, everyone's saying Justin Rankin hasn't done it. Last year in 18 games, he had 1,013 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaged 5.3 yards a carry, and had his longest rush of 90 yards. This guy's, and also too, then let's go back to 24, where in 11 games, he had 795 and 5 touchdowns, averaging 7.8 yards a carry.
That's all fine.
53. No, Dan, hold on. I'm just saying, though, you were ready to crown Jakob Dobis the next Ken Dryden before you had seen him play a single playoff game. This is Justin Rankin's 3rd season in the CFL, and he is consistently delivering.
There's one major difference, though. When Justin Rankin had those 2 cute years, they were on a non-bad playoff team. If he can play this good on a playoff team, like what Dobis did this year, then yeah, I can say he's done it. So until he does it on a good team.
So what I said, we'll go back to what I said. I had said that because I said he had 1 full season 11 games isn't a full season. So he had one full season in which he was exceptionally very good. He had an 11-game season in which he was good, but not amazing and not great. He didn't play a lot of games first year as a pro. You can expect some bumps. He started the year very well this year. I said I was waiting to see how he does in a second full season, because full season, see how you do over an entire season is big. That shows. I said after week 1, when you said he was the best back, I said, but when you're putting him up against the other great backs in the league who have done it consistently for multiple seasons, it's hard to say he is the best when he's only done it over. And maybe it's not fair to say it because he played only 11 games the first year, but over one full season, he was very good. We have not seen it over multiple seasons.
That's fair.
And I feel like that it's hard to crown a guy because we've seen players play great one year in any sport, play great full season. Next year, a little bit of a regression, but very good. But then they slowly fall off the rest of their career. And it's like, well, then that player gets a lot of, gets torn to pieces because people crowned him too early to be a great player, but then it just didn't work out. Carter Michael Williams, I think is his name, isn't a great example. He was a basketball player. He had one of the best. He had a really good rookie year, but then he just fell off the planet Earth. He just wasn't good the rest of his career. And it's tough when he was deemed a really good rookie with a really great future, but then he fell off. He just wasn't good. And it's like, I know it's not a great example, but to crown somebody too early can lead to unjustified hate and having to retract it. And then it looks bad on I don't know. I just want to see more before I crown him anything, because I've seen consistency from other backs. That's
and you know what?
I say about it.
It is fair because I remember a couple years ago when Taylor Cornelius became the starter for the Edmonton Elks, and they went and got all these receivers, and there were analysts thinking he was going to win the MOP, and then he was terrible because he had a couple good games. So I do get what you're saying, Adam, and maybe I am jumping the gun. I just think if he continues to do what he's doing right now, again, and you are right, there's a lot of incredible backs in this league. I guess my big thing is of Justin Rankin. There's not a back over the last couple years who has been able to do what he can do in the receiving end and the running game. He also received over 700 yards last year for Edmonton. That's unheard of from a back to be over 1,000 receiving, over 1,700, over 700 rush, over 1,000 rushing, over 700 receiving. You look, that's 1,700 yards. But I want to talk about Edmonton as a whole as well. And I think this Elks team is finding their identity this season. And Rick, I'm curious about your thoughts on that. With the Edmonton Elks, do you think they're starting to figure out how to find a way to win? I think these 2 games last year, they probably would have found a way to lose.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. People are going to hate me for this comments. And I was in an argument with a person earlier and still couldn't answer my question. Everyone's like, oh, Edmonton's a contender. Listen, folks. Get your head over your behind. It's only 2 games. Take a chill pill. You played Edmonton. You played Ottawa. Who in this league cannot beat Ottawa? You played Montreal. We were 1 interception away from beating Montreal. And yeah, we lost, but we were still in that game. And now look at us since then. So until I want to see you play against more top teams in the league, then let's see what you can do. But until then, you guys have played a shit team and a good team. Play more good teams, then I will give you guys your flowers.
That's fair. I guess my big thing about Edmonton is, though, last year you felt like they were in games every game and they found ways to lose. For the first time since the pre-pandemic, they found ways to win. Go ahead, Dan.
I will say this about Edmonton. I'm not counting Edmonton the Grey Cup champs, but I think for the first time since the pandemic, they have made a difference and made a step in the right direction. Before, in the past 7 years or so, the Edmonton I'm sorry to say this, but the Edmonton Elks are like the Maple Leafs of the CFL. Between the change of the name and the switch of ownership and so high on Trey Ford and Canarius and them falling apart, and there's just a lot of drama on and off field, and he never really had belief that this franchise was going to recover. And now I feel like we're finally on the right track, and I'll put my money on it. I'll put my money on my, well, I don't have money, but if I had money, I'll put my money on my mouth is. I'll say it right here, right now. This year, Edmonton is a playoff team. I don't think we're going to host a playoff game. I don't think we're going to win the Grey Cup, but I do think we're going to make the playoffs.
And I think that's fair, and I agree with you, Dan. You actually, funny enough, I agree with both you and Rick and Adam. I agree there are a lot of unproven players on this Edmonton team. I agree for people who think they're going to win the Grey Cup this year. It's only two games and only into week 3. But I also agree that I think Edmonton's taken some really good steps. And I said going into this year, I thought Edmonton was playoff bound this year. I said I don't know if they'll do anything once they get there, but they're playoff bound. But I do want to talk about the Montreal Alouettes, and I think we saw what happens when a team doesn't beat themselves against Montreal this week. Edmonton had one turnover that turned into a field goal. And look, let's be honest. Hamilton kind of handed Montreal away to get back in the game with the Bo Levi Mitchell interception and then the fumble in overtime. Toronto handed Montreal the game with 2 missed field goals and a missed assignment on punts. Edmonton made Montreal earn every inch of that field. And so you saw Montreal struggle.
So I will say, depends on who you talk to. Some are going to say Edmonton should have won this game based on that last person who touched that ball in overtime. And there are people that saying, but if you look at it, that play on a different camera, Montreal won that game. So depending on who you talk to, because there's some camera angles that show Edmonton touched the ball last. There's some camera angles that showed Montreal touched the ball last. So depending on which one you go by, determine that game.
Now, you know what, Rick? I love that you brought that up, actually, because I think the broadcast missed when the ball was actually last touched. It wasn't at the sideline. So Austin Mack dove head first and got the ball and was down by contact. Then it came loose again. That's what happened. Except for some reason, there's been no clarification by the league, and TSN's too focused on the World Cup to notice. Yeah. That's when the ball was down. Because if you look at where the ball was spotted, it was 1.5 yards back from where the sideline ball spot was. So it was actually spotted when Mack, I believe it was Austin Mack, number 3 on Edmonton, dove head first and got it. He was down by contact, and then the ball squirted out again. Go ahead, Dan.
I got to add this about Montreal. There's a famous saying in car sales and in life, and it's my favorite saying, you got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. I think Montreal has a very good team, and all flowers to them and David Alexander by holding his great big record of most undefeated regular season games, blah, blah, blah. However, I think they had a lot of luck on their side. And I wouldn't hit the panic button about Montreal. I don't think we're going to become a bad team because they lost against Edmonton. I just think for once, for luck didn't go their way. I think that's what this call Wick is talking about came down to. You know, so far in this winning streak, as least what I feel like all the iffy calls have gone Montreal's way. And I feel like this is the first time that the call went against them. And I don't think that makes them any better or any worse team as what they are. I still think they're a good team. I just think their luck went out a bit. But I don't think it's a bad thing. It was bound to happen, and it's better to happen now than a playoff game.
And I will say, if you're Montreal, better to lose to a West team than an East team. But 100%. I do feel, though, it's interesting when you brought up some of the calls. I think the CFL needs to review what a hold is and what a hold isn't, because there was a lot of holding on the Montreal offensive line that was not called.
Let's be honest. The CFL needs storylines, and they need clickbait in order to get people interested in the league. You have a rookie quarterback that started undefeated in the regular season, went 14-0, 13-0, whatever the number is. I don't even know. I don't even care. But for non-CFL fans, they were quick on that. So the league was probably favoring a little bit Montreal's way. It's a good
I
marketing.
don't know about that, Dan, but I just think it. I mean, it was a good story for the league. I do want to correct you on Davis Alexander's record. He has the most straight regular season wins to start a career. The longest winning streak of regular season wins by a quarterback is by Hamilton's quarterback, Bo Levi Mitchell, who had 14 straight.
I will say the record is cool, but I will say one thing everybody likes more to see a guy succeed is to see him fail.
Yeah.
And I think, I think a bigger issue is that, yeah, he won all these games, but then you think about his injury issues that he dealt with last year, where it's like he missed a bunch of games. Mm-hmm. The record is cool, but the record is useless when the guy couldn't bloody stay on the field, and he could still be injured now. It's like the record at times just means nothing to me, because I'm like, yeah, but he missed a bunch of time in between all these wins. The wins are cool when he's on the flipping field. Like, it's all cool and such, but like, now I said before the season I wanted to see how he reacted, but there was such a long gap in between the Grey Cup in week 1 where it's just like he had a long time to mentally recover. He doesn't have a lot of time to mentally recover now. The timeline of him getting over this loss is a lot shorter than it was to get over the Grey Cup loss.
That's a good point, too.
How does he mentally recover in a shorter time span to get to the next game? Because guess what? The record is cool, but everybody likes to see a guy fail. They like to build him up, and then they like to see him fail, because everybody likes to see somebody succeed just as much as they like to see somebody fail. It's the same thing with Tom Brady. Not to make the comparison, but it's like everybody hates Tom Brady, and they loved it when he didn't win. They loved it because they liked the story. They liked the original story. Nowadays. But then he got too big for his bridges. He became too successful. Nobody likes somebody being successful. Everybody loved it outside of Montreal fans when Davis Alexander lost in the Grey Cup, because he and the Montreal fans got too big for their bridges. They became too cocky. They were too big. They won too many games. And I feel like everybody's going to love every loss.
I do also want to say, though, from that Montreal game, besides of just Davis Alexander, someone that no one is really talking about is Travis Tice, who had 19 carries for 91 yards, a touchdown, average 4.8 yards per carry for a backup running back. I really liked his game, actually.
So I think he was Scott deferred the first running back?
No, it's Stevie Scott the third who's injured at the moment. But Travis Tice made a strong case when Stevie Scott is back. Hey, still give me the ball. Because I thought he had a really nice game today. He did. Oh, yesterday, sorry. He also had 9 catches for 47 yards as well. He was really good in the screen game. My bigger concern for Montreal is actually, and I understand I just went on about Justin Rankin, but to give up over 200 yards rushing, that's a problem. And I think Montreal is very happy they're playing Ottawa in week 4. So hopefully they can righten the ship. But look, it was bound for Montreal to lose at some point. I do think it's kind of fitting. They lost, and the final 2 plays was a beautiful catch by Austin Mack, former Montreal Alouette, who was kicked to the curb, and then a run option play with Cody Fajardo getting the game-winning touchdown, who was also kicked to the curb by Montreal.
Jacob, before we go to the next game, there's one thing that I want to mention.
Go ahead.
How many, without looking it up, how many receivers in the top 5 this year do you think are Canadians?
Ooh.
Like currently in the top 5?
Okay, I'm talking like receiving yards. You don't need to name players. I just need to know, like,
I think I know the
1 to 5. How many you think are Canadians?
I think it's 2.
I'll say 1.
No,
3.
No, it's more than 1.
It's 4 out of 5 are Canadians.
Wow, I said 3. Wow.
Because I was thinking right away it's Mattal and Philpott, who are the 2 that I were thinking of.
Philpott, Tyler Sneed's an American, Mattal, Keandre Smith, and Justin McInnes.
Wow.
So it's the year of the Canadians.
Canada.
Wow.
Canada.
And then don't forget, there's also Schaefer Baker at 8th and Tommy Neal at 9.
Wow, that's awesome.
And Schaefer Baker has had a hell of a game for Saskatchewan this week. So, I mean,
yes.
You can really
Jacob,
see things are starting to click.
Anyone that's looking at numbers, don't go off the stats off of CFL because they have not updated the stats for the Saskatchewan-Calgary game.
Ooh, that's not good. CFL website, come on, you got to catch up. Apparently, we're getting a new website at some point this season.
September.
Wake me up when the website's up. Anyways, let's move on to the Toronto Argonauts facing the Ottawa REDBLACKS. And I really want to dive into the Chad Kelly game. This is a weird one, okay? Over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 7 incompletions, but 4 of them are interceptions, and 3 of the interceptions were boneheaded decisions.
Yeah.
Mike Miller kind of brushed it off, saying this is what Chad and I are looking at, and he's always trying to fine-tune when to take the risk and when to be smarter with the ball. This is tough. Like, Toronto got the win because the defense, I thought Toronto's defense had their best game they had out of the 2 this year. I know it's only 2, but the goal line stops and the multiple, making sure Ottawa are only getting field goals. I liked a lot of things they did defensively.
Yeah. The defense was much better.
So weird to rate.
Much better. The defense looked a lot better than they did last week to open the year, where it was just they gave up a lot of big plays. They also prevented a lot of big plays. So it's a give or take from last week, from our week 1. But like this week, it looked a lot better. Now, is that because Ottawa's offense just didn't look great for a large part of the game? That would be to see against Saskatchewan, which I think will be a massive game for this team. It will be a big test, but I think Chad Kelly played a good basically 3 quarters until he threw the interception at the end of the 3rd quarter. The first, it's fine having 4 touchdowns and 1 interception at one point, but then 3 straight possessions with an interception. And it's just like, Chad Kelly, please, just like, if they're not open, or like, it's one thing when the defender made a good play. So it's 3 interceptions, which they were boneheaded. 1 was just a great play by Ottawa's defense, but it's just frustrating. He's playing so well, and then he makes on 3 straight possessions, it's interceptions. And it's just like, great from our defense for stopping them from getting points, because we're lucky to escape with a 20-point win, given all the boneheaded moves. We're up by 18 and you throw 3 straight interceptions. It's just like, dude, what are you doing?
So bad.
At that point, I was just like, I just kept, like, my dad was looking at me because I'm like watching on my phone. I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm like, stop throwing the ball away, dude. But like, one positive is that they spread the love around, all 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. And it's like, that was probably the easiest touchdown DeMonte Coxey is ever going to have in his career. I know. That was he walked in. Nobody was covering him.
The double move just
lost.
Literally.
Like, Matal dominant again. Hopefully he is not seriously hurt.
Oh, no, he's fine. It was because
he's fine,
Matal was back later in that game, 178 yards.
He was dominant.
What I'm loving to see from Kevin Matal is the growth of his game. It's not just short little screen passes and him bulldozing people anymore. I said it last year. I think with the right coaching, he can become the new Nick Dembski. I still believe that. But I do want to talk Toronto. And I think to maybe help Chad Kelly in these situations, run the damn ball.
Yeah.
And I know Hicks ended up having 16 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown. But when you're up 18, run the ball. Do some screen passes. Simplify your game. And I think this is where Mike Miller, as a young coach, could have coached this game a little bit better to help Chad out in that situation. I'm still blaming Chad Kelly on 3 of the interceptions. 1 was a hell of a catch.
I want to say,
what are you going to do?
I want to say with Hicks, he had a good game, handing him his flowers. Probably the best running back game we've seen from the Argos in like a couple seasons. Like, I'm not going to deny that. However, I still think there's some work to be done here, because going into the 4th quarter, he only had 35 rushing yards, right? Like the touchdown and the other yards, I'm not like taking away from him, But it was kind of, as Shakeup would quote, his one of the famous quotes is garbage time football. It's kind of when there was a big lead and the Argos went up by even a bigger league. I got a crazy take, though, I got to say, though. This defense, well, we got to give them so much credit. Yeah, the offense put on a clinic. There's no denying that. But this defense really got this offense out of some serious jams when the game was tight. And I don't think we saw a defense like this all of last year whatsoever. This is the first time, in my opinion, we've seen a defense this good since 2024, the Grey Cup winning team. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there was a time where Ottawa had the ball at the 1 yard line and they had 3 first rounds to get a touchdown, and this defense stopped them all 3 times. That's all 3. That's unheard of. And the last time I seen the Argos do that was in the 24 year when they won the Grey Cup.
And they did it against Saskatchewan that year.
Yeah, exactly, right? I get Ottawa's not Saskatchewan, but I think this team's going on the right track. And the other player I really got to give a shout out to, everyone's going to talk about Chad. He had it can't say phenomenal game, but he had an interesting game. So everyone's going to talk about Chad. Everyone's going to talk about Motel. He had a phenomenal game. Coachy is Coachy. He's one of the best catchers in the league. But the player I really have to talk about, no one else is going to talk about, is Dark Angelo with 10. That's right. Even more than I have fingers, because these two are thumbs. So 10 tackles in one game.
Including blowing a guy up.
Yeah, literally, like hard
hit right there.
Like literally hard tackles. And this is the first time, I can't believe I'm saying this, but when seeing Doc Angelo become so much better from last year to this year, I can understand why you let McManus go. I can't believe I'm saying that. I love him, but you feel like with him and Cameron Judge, it's like, I don't agree with it, but I get it. So I really got to give Doc Angelo a lot of credit.
No, but I'm not going to. It's great to be all positive about Toronto, but I mean, I still think I still think they need to utilize the run game better. I still think they let Ottawa hang around in this game way longer than they should have. And Rick, you wanted to point out that you thought Ottawa did make some good adjustments in the second half that maybe you can look forward to if you're a Red Blacks fan.
Yeah, like when I was looking at it, they only had, 287 or 285 passing yards in the first half. He had 187 passing yards in the second half, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. And also, Dan, to go about your comment about that goal line stance, if there's a coach that does goal line and not shotgun, you guys are not making that stop. Ryan Dinwiddie likes to go shotgun on first and goal.
True.
Look at Jake Dolegala, for example. If he's 1 yard line, you guys are not stopping a 6'7", 245 quarterback. But other than that, it's either both teams did, or Toronto had a good first half, but both teams had a garbage second half.
Yeah.
Because Toronto gave up the 3 interceptions. Ottawa couldn't capitalize on the interceptions.
Well, I think that raises a bigger question for Ottawa, and the bigger question is Jake Maier, who went 25 for 40, 281, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Only didn't have a lot of explosive plays. When you're looking at explosive, he had 3 explosive plays.
Jake Maier.
It's I don't know, is it time for Drew Brown to get the starting job back for their next game against Montreal?
I will say this. You put words in my mouth about Cody Fajardo, but I will gladly swallow up those words that you put in my mouth about Jake Maier. I have never been a Jake Maier believer whatsoever. And no disrespect to him. I'm sure he's a great guy, but I think he's a backup quarterback. I felt he played well in Saskatchewan last year, but Drew Brown, he only went 2 for 7 last year, but Drew Brown a couple of years ago in 24, 23 was arguably a league MOP, right? But Jake Maier, I don't know why they think Drew Brown collect dust. I get if you started Drew Brown Feast first 2 games, we were 0-2, and you go with Jake Maier last week, week 3 or week 4, whatever. I get that. But to start all this drama during the preseason, like, oh, Jake Maier is our guy, haven't had Drew Bell had a chance yet. Like, little fun fact I gotta say quickly, though. I had a buddy who was who's just watching a CFL game with me. I won't name him on the air, but I had a buddy who went to an Argo game with me and not really knowing about the CFL, right? And so it's against Calgary. Jake Maier is quarterback in Calgary. And I said, oh, yeah, my team of Calgary is kind of running low on their budget, right? So the mayor of Calgary is going to be their quarterback. He's like, oh, isn't that nice?
That's funny.
So, Jacob, I have a question for you about this game.
Go ahead, Rick.
Do you think the whole Brett Lothar thing, I don't know, maybe he didn't want to be in Saskatchewan anymore? Or do you think, like, now that he's with a different team, he needed, like, a change of scenery?
He needed to be healthy. He had back spasms the entire season last year. It was amazing he was even playing.
I think he needed to pick.
Okay, so hold on, guys. So when you're kicking, right? I actually follow a field goal kicker on social media, and they explain the art of kicking. It's really interesting. So when you kick and you take that swing, there's a big pivot in your back. So think of trying to do that with back spasms. Like he said, he was in agony every time he kicked the ball. He's healthy. His back is good, and Saskatchewan were complete idiots running him out of town because Brett Lothar in Ottawa. It looks like Brett Lothar from 2 years ago.
I think Brett Lothar
really good, and I do agree, Rick. Maybe a change of scenery is also helping, but I think it's more the fact is that he's healthy. I think they were really missing. I think he was missing the health, and also too, he knows in Ottawa no one's going to egg his house the way they did in Saskatchewan when he would miss a kick. Yes, by the way, people did TP and egg his house when he missed kicks in critical games. And by the way, I love Rider Nation. You guys are passionate. You're basically lane dashing Dashko as a fan base, and it's great. Right? I love the way you guys support your team, but you do something similar to what Toronto Maple Leaf fans do, and sometimes it's a little too much to the extreme, and you run out of town really good players.
Just make sure that your name's not Sean McCallum and people don't put manure on the wrong person's house.
Oh.
By the way, yes, that's something else they did to Brett Lothar as well. They put manure on his doorstep.
You know what, Jacob? I think you have a very smart, analytic answer to Rick's question, but I'm going to give people the truth here. Brett Lothar needed the pit. If you don't know what the pit is, look it up. Okay? So basically what it is doing construction.
I thought this was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, this is real facts here, people. They're doing construction at TD Place. So it doesn't look very nice on the one side because it's a great big pit. We used to be a nice bridge over the canal and over, well, not over the canal, but bridge looking to the canal and everything. You could go from side to side of the stadium, right? Because you don't have anymore because they're building like a new event center or something. ChatGPT says something. I don't really care about it. Anyway, but let me tell you, so it's this fence and they put a nice like poster sign on or whatever. And then behind the fence is this great big pit. So anytime the ball goes over the fence, they say, in the pit!
Dan, you met the pit. Dan, you met the pit. I've seen the pit. Never gone and looked inside the pit, but I did see the pit last time I was in Ottawa.
And you know, I will give Ottawa credit for that too. Like, I like that when they have a weird situation, they found a way to make it entertaining. When there was construction in Toronto, they just went, yeah, it's there. So
yeah. We have one guy jumped the fence in Toronto and got the ball into construction.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, no. I remember we're there, and it took 20 minutes for the kid to fall. We kept all yelling where it is. Then they kept going and running around where it was. And they couldn't find it for like 20 minutes.
You know what? You know what they should have done? They should have just waited till the game was over and just got all the balls from the pit at the same time.
Yeah.
With how many went over that fence?
Yeah, literally.
Also, just as a quick note, this came
CFL needs a tracker.
I forgot. This came up on Toronto social media 9 hours ago as of 1:29 a.m. on July 22nd. But they have signed Darius Washington, offensive lineman, most recently played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So I think this is to replace Randolph, who's on the 6th game.
I think it's a nice move.
There was actually people that were reporting that he's done for the season.
Oh,
And that's tough if Randolph is done for the season.
That's a big loss.
Also, no update on Priester as of yet, but it was a leg injury, and he was on crutches. So I don't think
didn't look good. Didn't and he had a walking boot as well, which doesn't bode well usually.
To go back a little bit though to the Drew Brown before we move on off of this game, because this is an interesting conversation to be had. Drew Brown last year was only 2-7 as a starter, 14 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, 2,389 yards thrown. The year before, it was a very different quarterback, almost 4,000 yards, 18 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And then the year before that, when he only started a couple games in Winnipeg, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, just under 1,000 yards in 3 games. So it's really tough with Drew Brown because he's been hit or miss. But if I'm Ryan Dinwiddie, I'm starting Drew Brown in Montreal. I don't think he will, because I will say this as an Argo fan. Ryan Dinwiddie is very stubborn. I mean, he's still trying to get short yardage and shotgun. So he's a very stubborn guy. I don't think he's going to go off Jake Maier until probably at least I'd probably say until at least their 5th, if not 6th game.
So Jacob,
what would be more awkward?
That's surprising.
What would be more awkward? To sit down and say, Jake, I know I named you a starter, but you're not the starter anymore, or removing the captain spot off of him as not the starter.
Well, naming him captain was just a mistake. Like
he said this last time we were on live. I think he can't do either. You can't do either without looking stupid.
No,
he's stupid if he does either. He's gonna look dumb at the end of the day. Why would you put it on a guy who you knew could potentially? He didn't even look at Drew Brown in preseason. I said this was stupid last time we were on live before, and I said this is stupid. You gave the guy you just recently signed the number 1 QB spot without looking at Drew Brown, and you named him captain. You take him out and have to replace him as captain, you're going to look stupid as the first big decision you make as general manager and coach. The first time ever being a GM in the CFL. And he makes a boneheaded move. But no, to protect his own bloody ego, he's going to keep this guy in. He's going to keep this guy in for as long as he possibly can. So he can push back how long he has to admit for making a mistake. And it's like you're going to end up losing this season because he made such a stupid call in the first place.
You know what? Adam, I think that's pretty good analysis on this, because if Ryan, and as what Rick said too, between Rick and Adam, if Ryan Dinwiddie switches off Jake Maier, he looks like an idiot. But if he keeps Jake Maier in, like you look at Ottawa's next couple games, I hate to say it for Red Black fans, and I feel bad for Red Black fans actually, because they seem like really good people whenever I've been chatting with them. But you have Montreal, Saskatchewan, and Edmonton as your next 3. Say what you want. Edmonton's 2-0, Saskatchewan's 2-0, which we'll get into that game in a bit, and Montreal's 2-1. You might lose all 3 of those games, and if you start the season 0-5, depending on how Toronto and Hamilton and Montreal continue to play, Ottawa's season might be over before Labor Day. And that's going to be tough to swallow for that fan base.
I got to give a shout out to Ottawa and Lindau Sports, I believe it's called, the team that owns. Pardon me?
Lansdowne.
Thank you. Lansdowne Sports, team that owns the Ottawa REDBLACKS. Like, yeah, the fans are awesome, but so are the staff members of the arena. They're all very nice and pleasant to deal with.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were extreme. And I do like that they sell CFL merch in general, like not just the team merch. I got a cool hat and a little mini CFL helmet, which I thought was nifty neato. But I do want to say that about the Red Blacks. I think what Rick and Adam are saying are right. But if I was Ryan Dinwiddie, I would admit that I was wrong, swallow my pride, and start Drew Brown on the 28th against Montreal and try to get this season on the other end.
I got another question for you.
Oh my gosh, I love questions.
So, do you start Drew Brown or do you make that call to Toronto?
And you call about Nick Arbuckle?
Yes.
I'm starting Brown before I'm doing that. But if, let's say, you start Brown and it's also pathetic, which it very well could be, Drew Brown's been really inconsistent. And yeah, I'm picking up the phone, which apparently now at least the Leafs know how to do that now, and see what you can do. Because also too, I mean, my gosh, if you're Ottawa too, you got to be thinking, is Greg Bell your feature back? Because you look at your first 2 games, Daniel Anababoye looked way better in week 1, mind you, against a not as good of a I don't know. Actually, I would argue maybe Edmonton defense is better than Toronto's. So Daniel Anababoye went up against a better defense. And Edmonton also just kept Montreal under 30 points. That's not easy to do. This Edmonton defense is very good. And now you're looking here at Greg Bell, who you paid a good chunk of change.
$200,000.
He was terrible.
A lot of money in CFL.
He wasn't doing well blocking.
And I will use this
finding openings. He did not.
I will use this as a suspense. The Toronto defender players that went from Toronto to Edmonton got the big bag because they did well in Toronto. Greg Bell did well in Hamilton because of our offensive line. He left and he got the big bag. It's based off of what you did for us recently.
Yeah.
True.
Well, if I'm Toronto and you get a call about Arbuckle from Ottawa, I am driving that price up. I am asking for more from
but you don't see many draft picks traded. You see like players traded.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay a heftier price than you would normally have to for a backup quarterback.
Let's remember.
Hold on. The thing is, though, Adam. Okay, so if you're Toronto and you raise the price, what makes you think he doesn't go to Edmonton and ask for Taylor Powell for a cheaper price?
Nick Arbuckle's a lot better than Taylor Powell.
Because no disrespect, but Nick Arbuckle is a Grey Cup winning quarterback who put up an MLB.
No, I get that
caliber season, right? I think up to my opinion, Taylor Powell's asking price should be lower than Nick Arbuckle's, and I actually like Taylor Powell, by the way. But Nick Arbuckle last year in 15 games, 4,370 yards, 26 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. I know the win-loss weren't there, but Nick Arbuckle was very good last year. I think he might have been one of the most slept-on players last year. I'm not just saying it because I'm an Argo fan. I'm saying it as watching a lot of his games. Nick Arbuckle would have won a lot more games if Toronto's defense could have done last year what they did in week 3. Because Arbuckle, you felt like he made one mistake and the game was over. Chad Kelly made 4 and they still found a way to win. It's a big difference in these two teams. But no, I do see if potentially there's not a lot of trades in the CFL. But look, Nick Arbuckle is 32, so it's not too old for a quarterback. He's around my age, actually. Hey, Nick, we can share millennial recipes on avocado toast. I've never actually tried avocado. But yeah, maybe that is something if Ottawa. I think they're going to go to Drew Brown first, but let's say Drew Brown struggles. Then yeah, I mean, I either that or you I don't know if you want to give up on the season by week 6, but if you're like by week 6, week 7, you're 0-5, which I hate to say it is a possibility. Or who knows, maybe Ottawa just surprises the world and beats Montreal next week. And
one thing I can tell you, the coach ain't getting fired.
Well, no, you just paid him way too much money, and he's your GM. So
yeah, so they could go 0-18 this season, and he's still not getting fired.
Yeah, but I do want to move on to a team that I think is trending in a very different direction than the Ottawa REDBLACKS, and Rick will be happy for this section of the CFL.
Oh no, I have so much on this game and these two teams. It gets interesting.
Is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And Hamilton, I would argue, annihilated the BC Lions. Like, this was the biggest blowout we've seen so far this season. BC looked really bad. Bo Levi Mitchell, I think, played his best game I've seen since Calgary days. And look, I think if you're Hamilton, you seriously feel that this team is a contender this year. I know we've had some hot debates on that topic on this panel. But, Rick, what's your thoughts from the Hamilton Sports Central himself?
If you were to tell me before this game started that Bowman needed 15 passes to score 5 touchdowns and a third of his passes were all touchdowns, I would say you're high.
Yeah.
Or drunk. Like, just think of that. A third of your passes were all touchdowns.
It was Unbelievable. And we were actually having this conversation off camera. And even though I'm not going to lie, I'm sitting here on my Argo gear, right? I'm not a Ticaf fan by any means. But even though I'm not a Ticaf fan, I'm not a BC fan, I don't care. I still want to go to a game because I just love good football. And what Bo Levi Mitchell did was phenomenal football. I may not ever see that again in my life. Like, what he did was incredible.
Not only
you have
that,
to look.
man.
Levi Mitchell was 15 for 18, 285, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Like, you got to think, as Rick said, a third of his passes were touchdown passes. That's insane. I also do want to give a quick shout out to Larry Roundtree, who I thought had a decent game again with 62 yards on 18 carries. Nothing crazy, but he did his job. And he was good. He did really well in the blocking game. Kenny Lawler, best game of the year with 81 yards and a TD. And I am curious, Rick, on your thoughts. I have a little bit of a hot take on the Hamilton Ticats receiving core. Is Shamar Bridges going to be on the outside looking in if Marion Mitchell keeps playing this well? I thought he looked great again.
So here's the other thing. I say no.
Okay.
Only because, just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
When Winton comes back, you can take one of those backup linebackers that's playing special teams now, put him on the practice roster, move Ryan Baker to special teams. You still have Winton as a starter, and you can use that extra spot for Bridges.
Okay, that's fair.
Interesting.
But
I think I figured this out. Jacob can be a CFL coach, and Wick can be a CFL general manager.
So
and then me and Dan could be sympathy hire-ins.
I'll be the cheerleader.
Yeah.
So you guys all like to hear numbers and stats, so here you go. Bo's first 3 games this year, 879 passing yards, second. 84% of his passes completed, first. 8 touchdowns, first. 1 interception, second. Passing rating of 139.7, second. An average passing of 10.3 yards, third.
Oh, wow.
In just 3 games.
Bo Levi Mitchell was on another level to start the season. He's been
so I have a bold take for you guys. People are gonna say I'm a homer because I'm a Hamilton fan, but I don't give 2 flying rats behind.
I think it's something else at first.
Bo throws, because if you think about it, 3 touchdowns a game is not a lot to ask for. Bo throws 3 touchdowns for the next 15 games. Does he finally get named the MOP?
Yes, I think
he has to.
Because that would give him about 48, between 48. If you went 3 touchdowns per game, that would give him between 48 and 60 if we went 4 on the year.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Jacob's gonna say something that's gonna piss Rick off. I saw Jacob's face go like.
The only thing I will say, if Justin Rankin finds a way to hit the double one,
but hold on. Okay, I'm gonna give you some pushback.
I knew it,
and you're not gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. What the heck else do you need the guy to do to give him your MOP?
Well, he's won MOP before.
I'm saying within the last 3 years. 2 years ago, you guys said that he didn't win it because he didn't make the playoffs. Okay. We made the playoffs, had first last year, still didn't win it because even though he had a better stat line than Nathan Rourke had more rushing yards. So this guy throws for 48 to 60 touchdowns in one season, and he does not make MOP. I don't care who it is. I'm calling out every voter, and I'm going to call them a piece of crap because what else does the guy need to do?
I totally.
You're basically saying if Bo does not win or make it to the Grey Cup, he's not an MOP. It's basically what everyone's saying.
I agree with Wick on this one because I get Jacob your point that he won MOP before, but he won it with Calgary and he won it a long time ago. I think even though his tenure in Hamilton has had some up and downs, I think overall he deserves another MLP title in Hamilton. And the guy's getting older too, right? If you don't give it to him now, this might be his last chance. And I think he's a first ballot CFL Hall of Famer. And I think he deserves another MLP title with the Tiger Cats.
Okay, I understand that, right? But hear me out on this. If we're going to do hypotheticals on pacing, right? So if hypothetically Rankin hits the double 1,000 club, which he's on pace to do, it'll be the first time in CFL history that is ever done. That has never been done before in Canadian football history. The closest was Andrew Harris in 2017, who had 1,035 rushing and 857 receiving. I'm going to make the argument if a player does something for the first time we've never seen in CFL history, even in the NFL, it's only ever been done 3 times. It's going to be really hard to the only reason why Rankin might not get it is because he's a running back and they don't like to give it to running backs unless it's Brady Oliveira, because they put Oliveira on a pedestal that's higher than what it should be. I understand what you're saying, Rick, about Bo Levi Mitchell. I just have a hard time if we're going by hypotheticals and we have a guy that does something that's never been done before in the conversation.
So I'm going to put it out there. So if you're talking history, and Bo goes on for 3 to 4 touchdowns before every game for 15 years, he's going to historically throw more touchdowns in a season than any quarterback to ever play in the CFL.
That's crazy.
If he does that, I think you have to give it to him.
Yeah.
The last person to do it was Flutie when he was with Calgary in 94.
Yeah, he did in 94.
So, I mean, people can call me a homer all you want.
Actually,
but if
last one to do 40 was actually Ricky Ray in 2011.
Okay, I said 48.
Ricky Ray, yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Doug, no, I know. I'm just saying. Because Doug Flutie did 48 and 94. Yeah. So, I mean, if he has to throw 3 to 4 touchdowns per game, then he'll do it. And I'll just say, listen, you cannot tell me he's going to throw the most touchdowns in a season and not win MLP, no matter what Rankin does.
If Bo continues the way he's playing this year, I would think. I don't think you can continue to deny him an MLP. I don't think they can continue to do it.
Every game that he's played so far, he's had 5 or fewer incompletions.
Which is nuts.
Crazy. That's elite. He is so good.
But
it's just not fair how good he is.
Enough with my Hamilton rant. I would like to go on to the whole BC rant.
No, Rick, by the way, I do want to say I totally get where you're coming from, and I think Bo Levi Mitchell is playing good enough to get an MLP if he keeps this up. All I've said is I think Justin Rankin, if he keeps this up, has got to be in that conversation as well.
No, as a West, I can completely understand that.
And it's good for the league, by the way, that we're having a debate like this. It's not
that's exactly what I was just going to say.
Not Caleros and everybody else, right? Like now you have multiple guys in this category. But now the BC Lions, on the other hand, people got mad at Rick when he said Nathan Rourke was overrated, and we said we'd see what happened when he didn't have the best receiving core in the league to bail him out. And
again, so here's my whole rant with this.
I just want to say one thing really quickly.
Had him as a pen.
So I just looked up. So I'm just looking at Bo stats. The 2 years he won MOP.
What are we talking about, first of all?
Bo, the 2 years Bo won MOP. He has had, so 2024 he had less the second time he won it, but last year he had one more than he did the year he last won the MOP, so that was 2018, and he had less interceptions. He had one more touchdown and 3 less interceptions last year than when he had his last MOP. So you could say he was better and he had more yards. He was better than the last year he won MOP last year and was still denied it.
Thank you.
Like it's I think when you take into that account, it's like at this point, like what more does the guy have to do? He had a better year than the last time he won MOP. He had more touchdowns than the first year he won MOP. He just had 3 less interceptions. It's like what else does the guy have to do? When you take into that account, it's kind of hard to deny him another MOP when he's just this damn good.
I think it comes down to the league. The league wanted Nathan Rourke as the MOP poster boy. I mean, by the way, and I say this, Nathan Rourke had a really good year last year. 5,290 yards, 31 touchdowns to 16 interceptions, as well with 564 yards on the ground with 10 touchdowns. I think that was kind of what the argument was. But let's be honest, the league wanted their poster boy back on the front, and they want everyone to forget that he said the CFO was a speed bump.
Yeah, literally.
And I haven't forgotten that, by the way.
Of course not. But I think the fact that even Jacob and Wick are having this argument week 3 into the season of who's the best MLP, two guys are breaking CFL records. This is fantastic for the league. This proves how good the league is. Because we're not even talking about like Brady Alfera, who now has a show Saving Puppies on CBC. So since they got rid of Hockey Night in Canada, they got content. Woohoo! So you're not even mentioning him. You're not even mentioning Zach Guerrero, who's broken a whole bunch of records. You're not mentioning Chad Kelly. You're not mentioning David Alexander. You're not mentioning Nathan Rourke. Like, there are still some very high caliber players we haven't even talked about yet in the conversation. So this is just great for the league.
Oh, it is. But like going on to the BC game, Rick, I'm curious, what the heck do you think went wrong for BC besides taking an airplane to Hamilton?
Here's where my rant starts with BC. People are gonna say, well, you were playing with a bunch of special team people and fourth string people. Listen, every receiver in the CFL had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
The guy who had the 2 touchdowns and 120 yards leads your team in touchdowns and is second in yardage. So I don't want to hear this crap about, they were playing with fourth string players and that. I don't care. That's Nathan Rourke only has 1 touchdown this season. You know who else has 1 touchdown? Their backup quarterback.
Chase Price.
And the backup quarterback has a better passing percentage than Rourke does.
Mind you, one of those receivers had 120 yards.
That's what I'm saying.
They played
they're without their top 4, but still,
it's if Rourke doesn't start picking up, I think. Not to say that it's not like he didn't deserve it last year. He was very good last year as well. But it starts. I think it even opens up even more questions that if he continues to struggle to start this year and Bo keeps playing the way Bo's been playing, it's kind of just like it starts a conversation about, did Rourke actually really deserve it last year? Is it just a hiccup? And if Bo keeps being exceptional at 36, I think it starts to open up a conversation. Well, did Rourke actually ever really deserve it?
Well, don't forget, Adam. Alexander already has 1,100 passing touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, or passing yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Bo already has 879, 8 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Yeah.
Then you have Chad Kelly, who has 869, 7 touchdowns, and I hate to say it, 5 interceptions.
I'd also like to add Chad Kelly's done that in just 2 games for the passing yards. That's impressive, over 400 yards each game.
Yes.
The interceptions are an issue, I do agree. But Nathan Rourke, he's in 2 games. I'm sorry, but I have been underwhelmed. And I think it's more the fact is too, from the great seats Rick helped us get for that game, you could see in early, I think it was the second quarter, where he had a wide open shot to the end zone and Rourke just missed. He had time. And he just missed. He missed his guy on a double move, and it's like elite quarterbacks don't miss that throw. Trevor Harris isn't missing that throw. Vernon Adams Jr. isn't missing that throw. Nathan Rourke is right now. And I don't know what's going wrong with him. I don't know if they need to put him in an ice bath and shock his system. I don't know what the heck's going on. But if I'm a BC Lions fan, I am legitimately concerned because I don't think either game you've played great.
I think Nathan York should have went to the massage parlor by Wick's house before hopping on the airplane back to BC. I might have helped him out.
Oh my gosh, Dan.
Jacob,
we do not want to be sponsored by that at the Analyst Desk. Just
I will mention one thing that you guys mentioned earlier about the Toronto game, about your guys' defense. We have 4 defenders in the top 6 for tackles.
That's awesome.
One of them, it's only his second year in the CFL.
Yeah.
And he's tied for in tackles. That's not even including Winton McManus either.
Yeah. And that's something actually on BC's end too, as much as we're on the Nathan Rourke poop train. BC's defense has been borderline pathetic.
It was bad, bro.
They're getting no pressure. They're not creating turnovers. They're not getting stops. Again, because you got to remember, BC, right? They've played Hamilton, which they allowed 41. And then they played Saskatchewan, where they've allowed 31. So that's what? 72 points allowed in 2 games. That's terrible.
Many games.
And you're not going to win a lot of football games of getting. And the thing is, too, what would concern me a lot if you're a BC, and by the way, I'm not crapping on Trevor Harris or Boley Van Mitchell when I'm saying this, but we can agree they're not mobile quarterbacks. If you can't get to these quarterbacks that can't move, what are you going to do when you go against a Cody Fajardo, or we'll talk later in the show, a Vernon Adams Jr.,
even Chad Kelly?
What are you going to do against guys that you literally, if you can't catch, the 2 senior citizens of the CFL at QB, and I love both of these guys. They're 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league right now, and that's a fair statement. But if you can't catch these guys, I'm sorry, but what are you paying Matthew Betts to do besides stare at a camera? He's been terrible.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I don't highest paid defensive lineman in the CFL, and he's been god awful.
I don't think it's all Matthew Betts' fault, but this is just proof that it's a team sport. You can't have the highest paid defensive line in the salary cap era, put a lot of money on one guy, and expect the other 11 people to be good. You need 12 good defensive people, not one.
So here's the thing is, and again, I apologize for shitting on BC, but when you are paying your quarterback $600,000, you're paying 2 of your wide receivers over $200,000. You only have 1 veteran in your secondary, probably 4. The other 4 are either second-year players or rookies.
Yeah.
Sankey did nothing.
Yeah, he has not looked great.
And he replaced Michael Alway. And Alway's done more for Montreal than Sankey has done for BC.
By the way, Nathan Rourke and cash before marketing and bonuses make $684,700 in hard cash, which is the highest paid quarterback in the CFL. He also can make $9,000 in performance bonuses, $1,000 if he makes the West All-Star, $2,000 if he makes CFL All-Star, $3,000 for MOP. It's difficult when you're paying him, as Rick said, a total. If he hits all his bonuses, he gets a training allowance, he gets a housing allowance, he gets $150,000 he gets $160,000 in marketing. Sorry, this is really tough when you're paying Nathan Rourke this amount of money and he's not delivering. But I do agree too, Rick. Darnell Sankey's been a problem when your only experienced defensive back is TJ Lee. I think if I'm a BC fan, I'm out of the 0-2 teams, BC I'm the second most concerned about. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Well, actually, to be honest, I would say BC is the most concerning team. Ottawa already knew was going to finish last, so I'm not worried about Ottawa.
Okay, fair.
BC, I had picked myself as the division leader in the West. They play Calgary this upcoming week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
BC loses to Calgary.
Your
team's 0-3.
Yeah.
That's going to start to bring nervousness. Because with how tight that West division is going to be, because I can tell you right now, Toronto, Hamilton, and Montreal, there's going to be no West crossover this year.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
If Winnipeg, let's just speak hypothetically, Winnipeg wins this week, you already have to now make up 4 points just to catch up to everyone else.
Yeah, that'll be.
Yeah, and for BC, now I will say for BC, they did start 1-4 last year and found a way to turn it around, but
they did.
I don't think BC to start the year last year looked as bad as they have this year. And I know it's just 2 games. I know there's a lot of time left, but I'm just not seeing it from BC. And I really do think it starts from the quarterback out. I also feel Butler hasn't looked great.
No, not really.
And I feel like, Adam, I'm not sure what you think about BC, because I know you've been quiet, which makes me concerned. When Adam's quiet, I can't figure out if he's scheming or if he's just tired.
I'm always scheming, Jacob. I'm always scheming.
Well, what's your thoughts on BC? Like, are you concerned at 0-2, or do you think they're going to find their game?
Well, when you're 0-2, that's always a bad sign, Jacob. You haven't won anything yet. And if you're not first, you're last. As good old Ricky Bobby said. If you're not winning, you're losing. And when you're losing, you suck. So, Nathan Rourke, you absolutely suck. You're bad. You're not good. You're dead. You're last. You suck. You're just as bad as Ottawa is. It's not good. Can't be as bad as Ottawa is. You can't. It's not allowed. Only Ottawa's allowed to be bad. That was not on my wish list. BC, you got to be better. My wish list was Ottawa was bad, not you. Ottawa. Only Ottawa's allowed to be 0-2. Only Ottawa's allowed to be bad. You could be 1 for 1 or 2-0. Can't be 0-2. Can't be Ottawa bad.
And you know what, Adam, to back you up on that.
Be better. Be better, Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke, look at me. Stay eye contact, Nathan Rourke. You got to be better. Don't be bad. Be good. Be Nathan Rourke from last year. That's good. Be Nathan Rourke from this year. You're out of here. You're done. You're fired. You're done. We're going to send your ass back into the States. You can go back to the NFL. You're done. You're fired if you suck anymore. It's done. Experiment over. You're fired. You're kicked out of an entire country because of how bad you suck. Get it? Got it? Good. Be better. End of story.
You know what?
That's what I think of BC.
And you know what, though? It's kind of what Milt Stiegel said, too. He's like, I don't believe in this ugly win or a good loss. He's like, you either win or you lose. And BC right now is losing. And they're losing badly. So they're 0-2 on that. But, Dan, do you have any thoughts you want to add about BC before we move on to the Calgary-Saskatchewan game?
I feel bad for the fans because I think they have a really good, strong fan base. I was there for the Grey Cup. Fans were awesome. Like the same staff were great. Same with Hamilton, right? The staff in Hamilton are great as well. But I would be really concerned. Really like Mark Dolman as an owner of BC. He's put in a lot of effort of creative marketing and building a fan base in the city, right? And I think we've talked about it before on the show. It's hard. You can do it, but it's hard bringing in new fans when the team is struggling. Like you look at Edmonton, for example, they won, but they only have 6,000 fans there the other day. You look at Ottawa, they only had under 14,000 fans in attendance, right? So BC's done a really great job turning the clock, getting in 30,000+ fans every single game. And one reason our success is because of a record the past couple of years. But if they go 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, how much more are fans? Because let's put it this way, and our Argos could be in the same problem. We're 1-1 right now. But it'll be the same issue of the Argos if this happens to you as well. Because BC and Toronto don't get a home game until August because of FIFA. So if they are 0-6 before the first home game, how many people are going to go for the home opener? Right? This is a legitimate problem.
Dan, just to clarify you, though, on the Elks, apparently their attendance was 14,664. It does
bro.
Dan, I'm just reading you the official report. I will say it looks a lot worse than it does because the stadium can hold I think 70,000 people.
I get that.
So, but I mean, also too, the weather in Edmonton was just abysmal.
Terrible.
I will be really curious to see if Edmonton continues to find ways to win. Will the fans start to come back? That's
well. Let me just tell you. You think that was bad? Ottawa had less than 14,000.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, Edmonton, Ottawa. It just didn't look as
Had
bad.
just
in
under
Ottawa because
14,000.
Ottawa Stadium only holds about, I think, around 20. I will say in Ottawa, though, the fans that were there were loud and passionate. I will give them that.
Oh,
But
yeah, for sure.
I do want to move on to the Calgary versus Saskatchewan game. And obviously, we can
What
go
a
on all day
thriller.
about how Saskatchewan is the real deal. But I more want to talk about Calgary, how they're 0-2. Out of 2 games where I don't think they've looked terrible, I'd say out of the 0-2 teams, they look the best. I know that's a weird statement, but I mean, even this game, they took their opportunities to try to get back in this game. But I said to Dan in that overtime, which number one, I have no idea why they took the ball first. I was just stupid. Number two, as soon as they kicked the field goal in the second overtime, I said to Dan, they're idiots. They're going to lose. You do not give Trevor Harris the ball twice in overtime and expect him to not get a touchdown on one of them. Trevor
Correct me
Harris
if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you go second the second round, are you not supposed to go first the next round? Because that's how they explained it on TSN.
Correct.
That's what I thought,
when
but
we
that's
go
not what
back.
they did.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I don't know, but at the end of the day, you always take the ball second because you want your defense to set the tone to know what you need if you need a touchdown or a field goal. But it's
Okay,
just for
you-
me, I think when
I
you're
have a
playing a
question.
David versus sorry, Adam, go ahead.
No, I have a question for you, Jacob, because you said they look the best of the 0-2 teams. So is 0-2 not bad for you, Jacob? Did I just not explain it perfectly? 0-2 is bad. You're not allowed to be 0-2. 0-2 is Montreal, is Ottawa bad. 0-2 is bad. It's confused, Jacob. I don't think you listened. 0-2 is bad. You
sure.
you
You know what I
you
think?
can't be Ottawa bad, Jacob. It's not
know what I
allowed.
think Calgary-
It can't happen. You gotta pick a lane, Jacob. Pick a lane.
I pick
You know
Lane
what I
Dash.
think Calgary needs? Calgary just needs to beat the horrific BC Lions this upcoming week, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
They just need to beat a shit team, and they'll be fine.
Well, and I'm also
Yeah, they gotta just beat a team who's Ottawa REDBLACKS bad, which can't be too hard. Everybody beats Ottawa.
I
Can't
am
be too
curious
hard.
too. I just really wonder too, once you get some injuries back for Calgary on the receiving core. Like I really do wonder if and when Reggie Bangleton, because he's not even on the injured practice list, so I guess he's just not participating. Or maybe you go get Alford, because I really think they need another game breaker receiver. There was way too many drops, and I get it was rain. I get the wind was crazy, but still. And I just think for Calgary, you're probably frustrated. I think if you're Vernon Adams Jr., you're frustrated. I feel like he's playing good football, and he's just not. Like, again, these are back-to-back games where he's put together incredible drives in the fourth quarter and not get the job done. That's got to be frustrating if you're VA. And I really feel, you guys know the whole David versus Goliath story. This was a David versus Goliath game. Calgary found a way to get it to double overtime, 3rd and 2, and they didn't go for it in overtime, and they kicked the field goal. As soon as they did that, I looked at Dan and I said, game over.
Yeah, literally.
I feel Calgary needed to take a risk, and Dickinson just went, You don't give Trevor Harris that many opportunities. Like Trevor Harris again today, 23 for 36, 349, 3 TDs. Like this guy is too damn good. You don't keep giving him the ball back.
Crazy, yeah.
Like
Crazy.
he's too good. But Adam, I do agree with you. 0-2 is bad. And if you're Calgary, you can't be Ottawa bad. I agree. Calgary going into this year, they're hosting the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
They are expected to be good. And I will say this, if you're Calgary's defense, what the hell? Again, you've given up way too many points. You've given up over 70 points in your first 2 games. What do you think, Dan?
I feel really bad for some of the players in Calgary because, it's tough. I think we're not the best team on paper, but we got some really skilled players on paper. Like Miller was, is it Miller? Not Miller.
Mills.
Thank you. Sorry. Mills, you can argue, is one of the best running backs in the league. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think VA doesn't get the credit he deserves either. I think Brissett was a big free agent signing for him and could hit 1,000 yards this year, no problem. You look at the defensive talent in Hicks and Weber. Like, they got some good all-star caliber players in this group. But for whatever reason, it's just not clicking at the moment. So I feel really bad for them. I really hope they can get it together.
To piggyback on you, there is so much common grounds with Calgary and BC.
Yeah.
They both have only one receiver over 100 yards. Adams has thrown 2 touchdowns to Rourke, 1.
Yeah.
But it's been 2 games for each team. But if your quarterback can't get you multiple touchdowns in a game, then you're not going to win games. I will say, though, Jacob, I'm pretty sure you watched this game already.
Yeah.
There's one player on Calgary that I wish Hamilton had brought back, but I can understand why they did not. And that is Tariq McAllister. Before he went to the NFL, he was with us. And that play at the end of the second quarter was why he was a big game breaker for us before he went to the NFL.
Good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
He had a really big game. And I mean, that missed field goal, kick return, I think actually really was what brought this game back to give Calgary a shot to win it. And you need game breakers like that if you're Calgary. And maybe you need to try to get McAllister involved in your offense a little more because the receiving core is lacking in Calgary, right? And again, today you kind of saw the same thing. I thought Jalen Philpott struggled. Like, he had a couple drops he should have had, especially the one drop in overtime. And like Eric Brooks was their best receiver with 64 yards. Like, fine. I mean, they're spreading the ball around well, but I get what you're saying about VA needs to get more balls in the end zone. I think Calgary needed to get VA some more receivers, but they don't have a single guy who's ever been a 1,000-yard guy. That's tough. I get what you're saying. Dejon Brissett has the potential, but also too, you're seeing teams are just double teaming Brissett and they're like, make someone else catch a football.
Oh, for sure. I think the problem is, I mentioned it a little bit last season if you were watching the Analyst Desk back then. But I haven't got a chance. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to mention it so far this year much. I think the secret sauce for Saskatchewan in this game is championship pedigree. You look at Saskatchewan kept trying to put the nail in the coffin this game, and Calgary just kept hanging around. All the credit to it. You look at them on the stat line, this game should have not been close. Saskatchewan's beating Calgary in every single stat. And Saskatchewan kept trying to put the nail in the coffin and end the game, and Calgary just kept coming back. But even though that happened, Saskatchewan now, with the Grey Cup champion, has the pedigree, championship pedigree. I talked about with the Argos, I talked about with the Winnipeg, a killer instinct, you know. And guys like Trevor Harris and AJ Ouellette had it before this recent Grey Cup. But now this whole team has championship pedigree. And we've seen teams like Toronto in the past and Winnipeg in the past, and they were like arguably dynasty teams. They were bend, but didn't break. And we saw that today in Saskatchewan. They bent, but they didn't break.
Yeah, that's it. That is very true. You got to give Saskatchewan their flowers. They played a really good game, and they found a way to hang on, even with the, let's be honest, an undesirable second half. They found a way to hang on to the game. I just think if you're Calgary, you got to find a way to get VA going more. I think VA, he can be a 300-plus yard guy, but if you saw the touchdown to tie the game up towards the end of the fourth, it was just surgical the play he did. He's such a talented quarterback, and you just got to give him more opportunities to be that game breaker. And the defense in Calgary, I think, too, needs to do better. Like, you can't allow 23 points in the first half. It's just hard to win when you let a team score as many points as some teams will score in an entire game and a half.
I just want to quickly say, too, let's give a big shout out to the CFL in general and the new commissioner for these new rule changes in week 3, because we've seen some very good games go into overtime. And unlike the NFL, the overtime is done very well and with no ties. So I got to give shout out on those new rule changes, because we've seen so many fans and the media flip out these rule changes. And also a new play clock. Now that I've seen it in 3 weeks and I understand it, I really like this new play clock.
Well, remember, Dan, when you were Remember, you were so upset about the play clock at first.
I didn't understand it.
He was mad about it before the first week of preseason, and then
I was
fine. I told him before he even before the first game, I was like, so you're getting mad about nothing? He's getting mad about nothing.
I got admit I was guilty of it.
Bloody and then later he's like, oh yeah, the play clock was fine. There's nothing wrong with the play clock, actually. I'm like, so you got mad for nothing? And then you told me you were mad about something?
Yeah,
I was done. I remember that day because I was like, this is a completely stupid argument we're just having now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do agree, Dan. The new rule changes between the benches on either side, the new play clock, it's looked good. And the league it's been another exciting season to start off your first 3 weeks. And just as a quick other side note for anyone who's watching the injury report, Ontario Wilson did not practice on Sunday for Winnipeg, and neither did Nick Dembski, just looking at 2 key wide receivers for them. So let's see how that goes for the Winnipeg throughout the rest of the week. I just thought I'd look at the practice roster there. Practice is interesting, but I think I broke Rick.
No, it's not that. It's not that. I will tell you guys off camera.
Oh, you know what it is? He just doesn't have his pink cup. But or does he? Have pink cup? Rick is back in the chat. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we need to go to my power rankings, which everyone gets mad about me.
Oh, it's the dictator rankings.
I can't believe you said that.
Oh my gosh.
Power rankings.
It's the rankings he doesn't let us rank with him. He only does it himself.
Week 3. So I have Saskatchewan at 1. Hot take, Edmonton at 2.
Wow.
Montreal 3. Hamilton 4. By the way, I really debated on flipping Hamilton and Montreal. I kept going back and forth on that. Winnipeg 5. Toronto 6. Calgary 7. BC 8. And Ottawa 9th. Basically, your undefeated teams at the top.
So Jacob, just because I went on a rant about BC sucking, because BC sucks just as much as Ottawa, Ottawa gets a little bit of reprieve.
Okay.
BC's automatically no. BC's not even 8. 8 is low. 8's too high for them. 9's too high for them. So Ottawa's 8. 9 is nobody. 24 is BC because they suck more than Ottawa sucks. Because they suck just as much as Ottawa.
Adam,
they suck too much. They suck. They're at an equal level with the suckiest team. So they got to be way lower than the suckiest team, if you know what I mean. It's an unofficial 24th position.
If Ottawa scored more touchdowns and still lost to Toronto, BC would be last.
Yes. Actually, yeah, I agree with that.
Actually, I think this is the first time ever I agree with this list.
Wow.
I think Jacob nailed it. I think you got to look at the orders that they're in based on the records. And the team that are tied, you put the teams higher that have the championship pedigree I was talking about and have that veteran leadership. So I think you're dead on.
When Dan's done.
Oh, go ahead,
Rick.
So my question is, hypothetically, I'm curious, if Hamilton did not lose to Montreal, would you have Hamilton higher than Saskatchewan? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, good question.
No. Only reason being Saskatchewan, more because they're the defending Grey Cup champion, and they haven't. Basically, to me, it's like until you get dethroned of Grey Cup championship in a loss, you're number 1 in the power rankings for me. My bigger thing was to try to figure out where to put Hamilton and Montreal, because I really went back and forth on that, and that was basically because when the two teams played, Montreal beat Hamilton.
I beg to differ. They have not dethroned us off of our first place in the division.
But that's because Montreal also sucks. So Montreal is below Hamilton for that, and Hamilton doesn't suck as much. So Hamilton is for just because. No, actually, I would put Montreal 44 just because they suck so much.
I really like this list, and I said to Jacob off camera, I didn't call for it going into the season. We watched the season preview show. But after seeing Saskatchewan pull off that impressive victory against Calgary in double overtime, I think a Saskatchewan team could go for another Grey Cup this year. I get they lost some key pieces, but if we replace some key pieces, and boy, Trevor Harris, he's not slowing down at all.
I don't know. I think Saskatchewan, my concern would be their defense still. I'll be really curious when they face... Actually, I will be curious to see next week when they face Toronto, because Chad Kelly can rip defenses apart. He can also just give them the ball when he's bored. But it'll be interesting to see how they handle a quarterback with the deep ball ability, with their defensive back group that's a little banged up right now. I will be curious to see there. And look, the early power rankings are always tricky, because I don't necessarily think Calgary and BC will continue to be this bad. Maybe BC, but like Calgary, both of their games, they've been right there, right? So it's really tough for me. You could argue at times Calgary has played better than Toronto, but at the end of the day, a win's a win and a loss is a loss. And look, I even was debating on putting Toronto ahead of Winnipeg. I was debating on putting Hamilton above Montreal. Call me crazy. I was debating on putting Edmonton ahead of Saskatchewan, because I thought, look, Edmonton has been really, really impressive to go from a team last year that had such an abysmal start to a team that's won their first 2 games in really tough conditions. Like that's something
I thought you were going to do, Jacob. I thought you were going to kind of go off the board a bit, but I think your power ranking is dead on. I really do. I mean, I feel bad for the fan bases and the players and naming winners and losers. And as an Argo fan, yeah, I put on my Argo blinders to say we're number 1. But looking at it statistically, they're 1-1. But I think they're kind of the worst 1-1 team, because they had some great highlights, but they had some great lowlights too, versus Winnipeg and Hamilton that are 1-1.
Hamilton's 2-1, Dan. Hamilton's 2-1. You are incorrect.
Sorry, my bad. But they were a little more consistent. I think that's another reason why you haven't put Hamilton above Winnipeg and Toronto, because they're 2-1 versus Winnipeg and Toronto both 1-1.
And I will say too, Hamilton has a much better point differential with 105-4 to only 84 against. In the 3 games, versus Montreal in 3 games is 96 points for and 89 against. It really did just come down to those 2 teams have played against each other. So I went for the
2-1 now too, correct?
Montreal's 2-1. Their only perfect team so far is Saskatchewan and Edmonton, which I think Edmonton being 2-0 is just hilarious, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love the chaos. Considering I think last year Edmonton started 1-6 before they got their second win,
something like that.
And this year they're starting the year 2-0. So be very interesting to see. Just as a recap, who's playing next week: Thursday you have Edmonton versus Winnipeg, Friday Toronto versus Saskatchewan, Saturday the 2-0-2 teams, Calgary versus BC, and then Sunday Ottawa versus Montreal. So it'll be interesting to see there. You know, I think we'll get a much clearer picture on where teams are at, as we're seeing some lower teams playing some juggernauts.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it's some 0-2 teams against 0-2 teams. That's what I like.
Well, yeah, we have that too. But like we have like Toronto taking on Saskatchewan, taking on who I think is the best team in the league. We have Winnipeg, a mid-pack team right now, who I think is taking on the second best team in the league currently in Edmonton. So it's going to be interesting to see, is Edmonton as good as what they've been when they have to go to Winnipeg to the loudest stadium in the CFL? How will they handle that? How will Justin Rankin do against that run defense? I know Rick and Adam and Dan have all said that. What will we do when he plays a tier 1 run defense? Winnipeg might be that tier 1 run defense, right? So it'll be very, very interesting. But these are the power rankings that I'm going with, at least. And I do agree with you, Rick, though. Hamilton's one that I think you could ask me tomorrow, and I might put Hamilton at 3rd. Like, I'm
not mad about that.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like I think the top 2 is pretty easy to say. There are 2 teams that haven't lost a game yet. 3 and 4 were the hardest ones to figure out. I sat there thinking for probably a good 5 minutes between 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a lot of time. And I mean, I think Ottawa, BC is your bottom two. That's pretty self-explanatory. Although, Adam, I do see your point. You could argue BC is lower because the expectations, in my opinion, were so much higher for BC going into this year.
That is not at all what I was saying, Jacob. But you know what? I disagree. And I say, Jacob, you're 100 on this list. You are the worst because you are a dictator with these rankings and you are misrepresenting my opinion, which I do not like. They suck. That's the reasoning why they're so
Well,
low.
I mean, the thing is, you could argue Calgary, BC, and Ottawa. They'll suck.
Well, they all suck, Jacob, but they suck too much.
Won a game yet,
they suck as bad as Ottawa, which is not allowed. Ottawa sucks the worst.
That is.
So the other two teams are not allowed to suck as bad. Dan, wake up.
Yeah.
Dan. And you know what, Dan? You need to wake up for this conversation, and let's get an NHL trade talk. Now, obviously, Rick,
me and Rick had fun talking about this on our last
live at the Analyst Desk, where every day feels like game day, to talk about the trade when it was pretty much in the works. I don't know if it was officially a trade by the time you guys went off. The trade is official now.
No, it was official. It was official like 20 minutes into our live, I think, or something like that. Maybe even longer in.
And it's interesting when they talked to the Ottawa Senators GM about the trade on TSN. He basically said they sat down with Tkachuk and he said he wasn't going to stay. Tkachuk has responded, at least back in April, and says, I've been fully committed to this team in the city, and the talk has just been a distraction and frustrating to deal with. I think the bigger question of all this is, are we seeing a trend of American players not wanting to play in Canada? We saw Hughes, Tkachuk. There's rumors Hellebuck wants out. I don't think Matthews wants out legitimately. Like, I think Matthews might be the one that doesn't want out. But Adam, Adam, I think you really want to chime in on this. So, like, do you think this is just a weird coincidence, or do Americans want out of Canada?
I made a point during the live because Lane made this exact same point. And I had said, I think it's less so. I think in certain circumstances, because there are a bunch of Americans who have left, I think in certain circumstances, I think it's less to do with not wanting to play in Canada and more to do with outside circumstances. Okay. Nothing to do with the actual teams in the country. So Brady wanting to play for his brother, he seems obsessed with like pleasing his brother for whatever reason. He seems very obsessed with following exactly what his brother does. So I think that has more him and his brother. Him and his brother and his dad, they seem to be the two people this dude wants to please more than anybody else. It's extremely weird relationship those three have. You've watched their podcast, you know exactly. They are just strange. Their relationship is the best word to describe.
Only one podcast you need to watch.
And like I think so. Like Quinn Hughes, he didn't want to be in Vancouver because Vancouver sucked. That much was obvious. He just didn't want to be somewhere where they were losing all the time.
Can't blame him.
Fair enough. Brady Tkachuk wanting to go play with his brother. Fair enough. JT Miller, he was ostracized in Vancouver, and that had less to do with him wanting to leave and more to do with the drama him and Elias Pettersson made. So that another situation where it was made of off ice issues. And I think it has less to do. I think there are some circumstances in which being in Canada does affect it, where Brady was booed a lot and that kind of pushed him out. I think a little bit more, and a lot of the response that came after the Olympics and Four Nations towards him in the nation's capital and around Canada didn't help. But I think a lot of it has more to do with outside circumstances than just played in Canada. Like money-wise, I can understand the money portion, but I think a lot of these players are leaving because their teams just suck. And Canadian teams just can't seem to find a way to win, to make winning teams. Two big examples. Cole Caulfield, best American goal scorer this season. What did he do? He signed long-term in probably the hardest market to play in Canada. Same thing with Lane Hudson. Kyle Connor and Connor Hellebuck. signed long-term extensions. They may want out, but they signed long-term extensions there. Neither have made it public that they wanted to leave. Hellebuyck has no reason. He's loved in Winnipeg. Like I think people are overreacting because of who is leaving, but they have to think. I think people are pushing towards that agenda rather than thinking about it logically, where there's other reasons these guys can be leaving. It doesn't have to be that they just don't want to be here. It could be other reasons. And I think there's just an obsession with people thinking America, because America also has 25 teams. They have a majority of the league. What's more likely? You got traded to one of 7 Canadian teams. You're on a Canadian team. You get traded to one of the other 6, or you get traded to 25, one of the 25 American teams. Which is more likely? You get chosen. You get sent to an American team.
That's a good point.
It's more likely. You don't have to like it, but that's true. It's a factual statement.
I can sum this up in one word, and I don't know if it was mentioned during live shows now, so if it was, I apologize. But I can sum them up. Taxes. People don't want to pay crazy tax percentages on a multi-million-dollar contract. So we notice most, not all of them, but most American players that leave Canadian City, we're not just going any random NHL team. They're going to Florida. They're going to Tampa. They're going to Dallas. They're going to Vegas. They're going to places where they don't have state taxes, just federal taxes. And when you're talking about between $90 and $20 million, that's a lot of money. I think that's the main reason why they do it, is taxes and probably the weather. I mean, do you want to play a hockey game bundled up in a jacket, or want to play a hockey game when you walk to work in a swimsuit? I don't know. To each his own.
So Dan, right? So you think there's hockey players wearing jackets on the bench, and they're wearing swimsuits? We're playing hockey.
No, I mean walking to the arena.
Dan, I feel like you've mistaken what hockey truly is as a sport, and I feel like you've forgotten. There's been too long of a break for you in hockey. Dan, nobody wears a Speedo playing hockey.
They're not playing hockey. They're not playing hockey. I mean walking to an arena. Like you see William Nylander.
You think there's people wearing Speedos to work in Florida?
No, not no. I mean commuting to work.
First of all,
silly Dan.
Commuting
silly, adorable Dan.
So,
silly Dan.
I have 2 points. One me and Adam agreed on earlier today, but I just came across this other one. So, Florida drafted McKee. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
Samasovich or whatever it is.
First round in 2021. Since then, they've traded their first in 22 for Reinhart. 23's first to Montreal for Ben Chabot. 24's first for Claude Giroux. 25 was for Matthew Tkachuk. 26 and 29 for Brady Tkachuk. 27 for Seth Jones. And 28 for Brad Marchand. They don't have a first till 2030. So you would hope that they win a Stanley Cup before 2030. And me and Adam's point that we both agreed on earlier,
it's the same.
Florida only has $7 million. You still got to sign a defenseman and 2 goalies.
Yeah.
Good luck with
Where do you get that $7 million from? I have no idea.
Yeah, because I was saying it to Dan.
Also, Adam brought up a point that you got to trade a big contract too.
Yeah, you have to. You're going to be forced into it. You have no other choice.
Literally.
I wonder if Reinhart might be the one out who had kind of an up and down year last year.
I mentioned Lundell. It's not big, but Lundell does have $5 million because he was somebody being rumored. It could also be Verhaeghe, who was apparently somebody Ottawa asked for in this trade.
So I have a question. Do you guys know? Because you guys would know this more than me. Is there an amount of contracts you can retain a year?
There's only 3 spots. There's only 3 retention spots.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you can only they've lowered it because they've capped it because you used to just be. I think it used to be unlimited, but they've capped it at 3. You're only allowed at a time 3 contracts retained. That's all.
The only reason why I'm asking is because I could honestly see them letting go of Bobrovsky and getting creative somehow and acquiring a goalie but having the other team retain salary.
Yeah, I could see it.
You would have to give up draft picks in order to do that, right? I'm just sitting here thinking, and maybe I'm crazy, but you look at moves that Shakeup has made for the Maple Leafs and freed up, what we were talking about, $30 million in cap space. You talk about, I was talking earlier in CFL getting championship pedigree, right? Even though Sam Reinhart had an off season in his standings last year, Carter for Haiti, again, never off season in his standings. Even though they're high salary, Florida needs a dump salary, need to get rid of them. Are you Jake Chikrin and you are calling up the Florida Panthers to get one of these high salary guys to play with Captain Underpants on the wing there?
I don't just for correction, they have $18.79 million in cap space.
Who does?
Toronto.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I knew 30 was too much. But anyway, $18 million, right? You can easily afford one of those two players because I've been saying it for more than a year now. It's not that losing Mitch Marner was a problem. It's that you need a top six forward. And both Sam Reinhart and Carter Fahady can be a top six forward, no problem. Like Sam Reinhart, terrible contract, let's be honest. $9.5 million until 2032. I mean, that is a really $9.5 million. That's a lot of money to spend on a guy that gets. Well, he had 94 points when he signed it, so it made sense at the time. The last couple of years, he has digressed to 61 points because of injuries. Last year, 81 points. So it's still still a point a game player. $9.5 million is still cheaper than what Mitch Marner was. And you look at Carter Verhaeghe, who the Leafs drafted originally. Let's see what his cap hit is. His cap hit is $7 million, so that's a little more attainable. And he can play center as well. I also say it's nice having a winger that can take a face off. People can get if people get kicked out. And again, he's been worse for the last couple of years. But I was hoping the Leafs were going to bring back Bobby McMahon. Well, that's not going to happen. Bobby McMahon did resign today for a $5.6 million cap.
Dan and Jacob, my opinion on Bobby's contract, I think you guys wouldn't like very much. If we done overpaid. My opinion on the Bobby McMahon signing, I didn't know if one of you guys or both. I said I didn't know if you guys would like my opinion on the contract.
Well, what's your opinion on it?
I think it's
overpaid.
Crap. I think it's so.
I think it is too.
I think that is wow. I'm surprised. I thought Dan, you would be mad at me, but I said the reason I said it wasn't good is because he's had two full seasons. Maybe three full seasons.
Yeah.
And he has scored over 30 points once, has scored
twice.
Twice, has scored over 20 goals twice, has scored nearly 30 once. His inconsistency. He is a rocket ship when he is on. That is just that is something I will not dispute. I love Bobby McMahon. He's one of my favorite Leafs when he was here. He was a great player, but his inconsistency is an issue that I don't think anybody talks about. I don't know if his actual play throughout a whole season warrants the $5.75 million cap hit that he has earned. I don't know what Seattle's doing because Seattle keep making the same bloody mistakes and it's pissing me off because they then go and acquire Mackie Samasovich from Florida. It's like you're getting another middle six guy. You're playing Bobby.
Yeah, I mean that trade made no
like he's a first line winger, and he is not a first line winger. I'm sorry, he's just not. They don't have the talent to play him on the top line. Toronto had the talent to play him on the top line and insulate him, but Seattle just doesn't have the talent at the top end of their lineup to insulate Bobby McMahon. They don't. They just have a bunch of middle six guys acting like cosplaying as first line players. They don't have any actual first. Jordan Eberle is not a first line player anymore. Apologies, Jacob, because I know how much you love him. But can you not agree with me on the fact that Jordan Eberle on a serious hockey team an actual hockey team.
He's a
That has
second
built
line
an
at best.
actual roster.
Yes, sir.
Jordan Eberle is not a first line winger on an
Yeah,
actual hockey team. He's not a first line winger.
No, Jordan Eberle on a good team is a second
I'd say
line.
second at
On a
best.
cup contender, he's probably a
I'll
third
give it
line.
to
Which,
you.
by the way,
I'll give him second or third. I'll give you
I will
that,
say, when
but
I say
won't
this,
give you
I
second.
love Jordan Eberle, but I do agree with you, Adam. Seattle, it's tough for your top line to be, I think it's what? Eberle, Beniers, and now
Beniers.
McMahon.
I
And
think,
that'd be a really good second line, but it's not a top
It's not
line.
a
And I
first.
think for Seattle, now maybe they're going to go do more at the deadline. The only thing I will say, not deadline, sorry, at
Free
free
agents.
agency. The only thing I will say with McMahon, he's trending in the right direction as every year he gets better. But I do agree with what you're saying, Adam, is he is inconsistent. Bobby McMahon, he'll be on pace to score 40 goals and then won't score for 3 weeks.
I
So,
Bobby.
I thought Bobby McMahon at first. I actually didn't think the contract was bad, but then I realized I did my math wrong.
Yeah.
I think Bobby McMahon is worth in that $4 to $4.5 million range,
You're
not the
literally taking
5.7. But I
you're
think this is
literally-
a bigger issue as a whole, where guys that aren't phenomenal are going to get overpaid. And Dan, I really want to hear your
I've
perspective.
been saying
on
it all
this,
weekend.
because there's just not enough there in free agency this year. Bobby McMahon was one of the best goal scorers available.
I literally, you're going to take the word. I literally took the words out of my mouth. I think the right number for Bobby McMahon is $4.5 million, and it's no disrespect to him, but it's to Adam's point. I love the guy, but he wasn't drafted. He's an AHL player, as one of few players have made it to the league, and it's a phenomenal story. I love the guy, but I think you look at his last contract was 1.5 or 4.5, still a very nice, healthy $3 million pay jump. I think the extra $1.25 million, people would say, what's $1 million here? What's $1 million fair? Well, that's another fourth line player. You look at a team like Carolina and won the Stanley Cup. They won it off a balanced lineup. Carolina's fourth line was a big part of winning that Stanley Cup. And we start overpaying people. What suffers? The fourth line, right? And now to Bobby McMahon's inconsistency, he was inconsistent in Toronto. I think the reason for that was because his inconsistency of not lifetime. So I laugh. I'm getting tired of ice time. Like Craig Berube, I hate the fact that he would switch the lines up every day. 1 minute Bobby McMahon was on the first line. Halfway through the game, he dumped it on the fourth line. One shift he gets power play time, the next shift he's on the penalty kill. I think that's why it's inconsistent. When you look at his numbers in Seattle, they were a lot more consistent because he was on the same line every night and he was getting power play time every night. And I do get a point that he's very strong and he's a very fast skater. So I totally get it. I think he was worth a lot more than the 1.5 he made this past year. But I think 4.5 is the right number for his skill set and where he's projected to be.
I think the reason why though he gets paid this high is, and you're going to start to go through who was available. So Alex Tuck had 33 goals this year. But then after that on free agency, Radish is gone, Carlson's gone, Boone Jenner, not a great offensive player. Patrick Kane only had 16 goals. Lee, I think might retire. Ovechkin's either Washington or retiring. Jacob Trouba is a shutdown defenseman. And like Anthony Mantha's your next one with 33 goals. Victor Arvidsson 25. But you look,
those two get paid a lot.
I would rather pay Bobby McMahon in the fives than Anthony Mantha. I think that's my thing, just because he's younger.
Anthony Mantha had his best goal scoring year at 30? He's developed late, but there's no guarantees. There's also no guarantees Bobby McMahon is as good as he has been. There's no guarantees Bobby hits nearly 30 goals again in his career. There's no guarantee of it. I'm sorry. Like, you're paying him for what you've seen of him. But again, like, you're going to pay him more. You're paying him more than what he's produced in 18 games. You're paying him for what he could potentially be doing, but he's not 23. Bobby McMahon is he's like 30. He's going to be turning 30 before the season starts, I think.
He's 30
Bobby
now.
McMahon, so he's 30 now. He's not 23. This is not 7 years ago. He's not a prospect in which you could pay him more money based on what you believe he could be, because he's shown flashes of it. He's 30. He is past he is already in his prime. But his prime is 3 years into his career, or like where he should be in his prime. It's late now. 30 is not old, but it's also with Bobby's speed. If speed is his biggest weapon, 30 is not the age you want to be paying him nearly $6 million because his speed's gonna fall off, and his speed's gonna fall off before his 6-year contract's done.
Now, hopefully we're wrong.
Slower, like there's big risks with this deal, just because I think, and it's the same thing I thought with the Darren Radish contract. It's like this is his best year of his career, but they're at their 30, and once you hit 30, and you had your best season when you hit 30, you're less likely. You don't always get what you got from that previous season again in their career because it's so late in their career. Darren Radish fully deserves the money, though, because Darren Radish had 70 points. Bobby McMahon did not have 70 points. Bobby McMahon was not a number one guy on a team. He was a third-line winger half of the time in Toronto. Bobby McMahon does not. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just this.
You know what, Adam? I actually get what you're saying with McMahon. I think this more came down to, for Bobby McMahon's contract, is the lack of goal scoring available in free agency. When you're starting to look at one of the most attractive names is Vladimir Tarasenko, who isn't what he used to be, right? There's just there's not a lot available. I think Seattle got a little bit of FOMO and was worried they were going to not be able to have anybody. And they overpaid McMahon because who knows what he would have got in the open market. There's rumors Alex Tuck's going to get $10 million this year. Right. And if you look at
10.5, he's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid. And he scored 33. McMahon scored 29. Right. So
I know it sounds crazy,
that I think could age poorly down the road. As Adam's pointing out, a big part of Bobby McMahon's game is his speed. And then, Dan, I want to ask you this. With free agency having not a lot of goal scorers, but in the trade market, there might be like a Jason Robertson,
as I was going to say,
or a Kadri, or a Ryan O'Reilly, or a Troy Terry type situation. Do you see maybe this is getting done? Teams are going to start going to the trade market instead of overpaying guys like Bobby McMahon and Alex Tuck.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think the NHL entry draft is going to be more interesting this year. I think we're going to have more trades done during this entry draft before the July 1st free agent beginning. Okay. And, I look at Bobby McMahon, as much as we're criticizing the contract now, I think in the open market, you look at a team like Utah that's desperate and have a crap ton of cap space, they would probably pay $7 million to get a 30-goal scorer. Because you look at the Matty Knives contract, and that's what you would probably compare it to.
No.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because I'm just, because Matty Knives is a lot younger. I'm just saying the other teams out there might compare Bobby McMahon to Matty Knives.
I think
there's more proof of concept with Matty Knives than there is with Bobby. If I'm being honest, I think there's a better proof of concept with Knives than there is with Bobby.
I agree with that.
Is what I'll say to that. I just think
there's proof of concept
that good Matty can be.
Matty Knives was a lot younger. He's bigger. He's a unicorn player with his size, speed, and scoring touch.
He's also really injured this year. Really hurt. Like, he was banged up all season.
And still managed to put up a career year.
I thought Knives made amazing. I think he was one bright spot for the Leafs. Was Matty.
Go ahead, Rick. Go. I see, Rick. You wanna.
So I have a question for you, Jacob. Now that you brought up the whole trade aspect, so we know Ottawa can't trade number 32 because of their penalty. Will 9 and 25 get you a top 6 forward as good as Tkachuk or no?
Ooh, good question.
Because Stamps has already came out today and said that he's using those picks to get a top 6 forward.
It depends, right? On paper, a pure skill, no. But a guy that maybe isn't going to cause so much drama because of the way he acts off the ice, you might be able to get someone that's better for your team, if that makes any sense. Like, I look at a guy like Tkachuk and the amount of drama he caused for his team, and I think, how do I put this? What he said in a lot of his shows, I don't care what anyone says, is going to piss off a lot of Canadians. And to make him the captain of the nation's capital with the comments he was continuing to make, couldn't stand. So the only thing I do wonder is maybe with those 2 picks, if Dallas cannot get Jason Robertson locked up in their cap, does Ottawa make a move to go get Jason Robertson with a couple picks and maybe a prospect or 2? Because I don't think Ottawa wants to take a step back. And Jason Robertson and Brady Tkachuk are 2 very, very different players. But at the same time, you're bringing in a guy, you're trying to bring in someone that's not going to cause the drama. That's all.
But Jacob, I raised the question that despite them trading for him, it brings up the question, will Jason Robertson sign in Ottawa?
Well, that's the other
because that's the $1 million question. You're getting picks if he doesn't sign because he will get offer sheeted. I can almost guarantee you the minute free agency opens, Jason Robertson's getting offer sheeted. There's no way Jason Robertson does not get offer sheeted this summer. If Jason Robertson does not get locked up before free agency opens, I can almost guarantee it getting offer sheeted. There's no way teams don't offer sheet Jason Robertson. Dallas is royally screwed if he hits if free agency opens without a contract for him, or if he's not gone. Like, not that they're screwed, because they'll get, if they offer more than 11, they're getting 4 first-round picks. Ottawa, the other thing is, Ottawa cannot offer him a contract if they cannot pay, if they cannot give up the picks. They don't have the picks, which is four straight first-round picks. It's not just 4 random first-round picks. It is your 4 next consecutive first-round picks. If you do not have 4 consecutive, that means 23, that means 27, 28, 29, and 30. If you do not have those picks, you cannot offer sheet. That is it's the same thing with any other picks. If you don't have the picks, you cannot offer sheet. That's the rules. If you don't have them, you can't offer. So Ottawa have to make sure they have their picks, and it has to be their picks. It can't be picks that are from other teams. It has to be Ottawa's 4 first-round picks. It cannot be Ottawa from Florida. That's the rules.
So the only team that cannot offer an offer sheet is Florida.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But the other thing that I was going to bring up was, now I just got to find it because it was an interesting number. Okay, so Quentin Hughes got 4 first-round draft picks. Adam knows where I was going because I mentioned this earlier. Brady got 3 firsts and a second.
Yep.
Larkin could potentially get 2 to 3 first plus more. And Vincent Trocheck could get 2 first plus more.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, Hughes was technically traded for 3 former first round picks and 1 actual first round pick, I think is what Hughes was technically traded for. Technically, it was 3 former first round picks. They were players who had been drafted in the first round. I think that's what the trade was, at least. I could be mistaken. But I have a question for you guys. I got to actually find the answer first.
Yeah, 3 players that were first round draft picks and an actual first.
Yeah, okay. I just got to get the answer up here first.
Oh, he has a quiz question for us.
No, but you know what? It is going to be really interesting to see where things go in the trade market. I just do think, I agree with Dan, that's going to be a much busier trade season, even at the draft, than it will be at than it has been other years, just because free agency, but there's no guy besides Jason Robertson on offer sheet that you're going to go pay $12 to $15 million to go fix all your goal scoring. So it's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So the other while Adam's looking this up, the other thing that I wanted to mention is I don't know if you have to complete 1 full year in the CHL or not, or if you can be signed right away. But don't forget, 19-year-olds. Yeah, I think you have to be 19 first. 19-year-olds, no matter what league you've been playing in, can now go down to the AHL.
True.
So that's now going to change the development that people do in the draft.
That's a good point. That's a cool
It
rule.
is.
You know, I think you can see teams, if again cap hell, could use the AHL as a loophole, and you could see some talented veteran players, kind of like David Kemp last year of the Leafs, get dumped into the AHL. So that's something to look out for too, you know. And congrats to the Maoris, just won their AHL championship. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
but
we're going to see more exciting players, close in Hamilton, or the Hamilton Hammers coming in town.
So the interesting thing that was not mentioned earlier during the draft, the trade, is that 2029 first round draft pick. That's a top 10 protected. So if you don't get, if you're outside, if you are a top 10 in 2029, Ottawa has to wait till 2030 to get that first round draft pick.
Interesting. Okay.
that is
Kind of
interesting.
the whole Leaf situation with the Boston this past season.
No, but it's
I'm like really mad right now because I saw this before and now I can't remember the player. I know who dealt him. I know the team who dealt them, and that's what I'm just gonna go after. Okay, who is the only player? I don't remember the name of the player, but I do remember seeing this stat. There was only one other player in NHL history to be dealt for 3 first-round picks. Who is that player / whose team who traded him? I know the team who traded him. I'm pretty sure. Or the player.
Ask ChatGPT. They should.
I
know.
looked it up, but I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna do AI as well because I can't seem to find it. But I will look it up. I will.
Is it
Dan? What's your guess here?
recent? Is it recent?
The player? No, it's not recent.
No, not recent. Okay.
Wayne Gretzky.
No, not Wayne Gretzky because he was not traded for 3 first-round picks. It was only.
I know who it is, and I'm going to take a wild stab. Eric Lindros.
Nope, he was traded for 2.
Oh, Peter Forsberg.
No, because Peter Forsberg was in the trade for
Lindros.
Lindros.
So there's fucking 3 right there because Forsberg was a first round draft pick.
Yeah, literally.
No, well, like it wasn't his pick. It wasn't Forsberg's pick that was traded,
Okay,
nor was it Lindros's pick. They were both the players that got traded.
Did this person play for that team?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
he did. But I am looking it up to get the guy's name.
It's a Wendell Clark?
Maybe not. No, not Wendell Clark. I could be wrong because now I'm just trying to find it about who it is because I could be wrong.
See, I don't want to Google it because then I'll find out.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's like 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3 first round picks. If I'm not mistaken.
No, Patrick.
Honestly, I have no idea because I would have thought it was Eric Lindros.
No, it is not.
Yami Yarger.
No,
No,
Are
Yarger
you
was
sure
never
Gretzky
traded.
wasn't 3 first round picks? Because I thought it was.
it was. I can tell you the haul. Just give me a second. I can tell you the haul. I'm pretty sure it was only 2 because then he was traded for like a bunch of other stuff.
You know what drives me crazy?
No, it was 3 first round picks. What the hell? I saw it was only 2. Okay, I could be wrong here.
I was right.
Maybe it is Wayne Gretzky. Okay, I'm trying to remember who the dude's name is, to be honest with you, because I saw it was like, okay, I'll tell you. I saw it was a Boston Bruins player, not Wayne Gretzky. I was told something different.
Bork.
Yeah, Bork.
It was not Bork. It was a Bruins player, but it was not Bork.
Bobby Orr.
Not Bobby
No,
Orr.
Bobby Orr was never traded, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, he went. He finished his 1 year in Chicago, right? So I thought maybe he was.
Yeah, but I think he signed there.
Yeah.
You know what? Now that you're mentioning this, that's bringing me back to like Alexei Yashin trades in fucking 20, or pardon my French, but 2001.
It was like, I could be wrong because I saw the
traded from
statistic,
Ottawa
but
to
now I
Islanders.
can't find it.
What about the
So I
Joe
have to
Thornton
find it.
trade?
Joe Thornton was not traded for pick. I don't even think he was traded for picks, if I'm being honest with you.
That's the same.
So I just gave it a quick search, and it is saying Brigachuk. What the question is? extremely rare. Yeah, apparently the last one was Wayne Gretzky when Edmonton received.
This is where I'm getting confused because I saw something differently. That's why I'm getting confused.
From what I'm seeing, Wayne Gretzky, but Tkachuk is the first one in the modern cap era.
Okay, so maybe I saw it wrong. Maybe somebody had it wrong, but
that's very interesting though. The first time in the modern cap era, but we've been recording for almost 2 hours, so I do want to move on, and actually more than 2 hours now, and quickly touch base on the Toronto Blue Jays here. The Blue Jays just coming into another series, won 2 out of 3 against Chicago, although the one loss was a disaster. Dan, you've been the Blue Jays fanatic out of us here. Do you still think the Blue Jays have a legitimate wild card push, or do you think they're just kind of pushing off the inevitable and they're not getting in? Like, I'm seeing a lot of negativity around Jays land.
Oh, wild card push 100%. I think they're right there. Division championship? No, I don't. I think that ship has sailed, but you don't need. It's easier to win in the playoffs with the division, but you don't have to. Right? You can play the wild card game and still get a home field. So, I say Jays is still in it, and I like the fact Yokomoto hit another home run. Vladdy had a couple good hits. Bieber's getting back healthy. Varso hit back healthy. He just hit a home run today. Allison Badger is still injured, so he's a power hitter when he gets back. So, and I'm sure the Jays will make moves on trade deadline again, right? You look at all the tickets being sold this year. More money's in. You look at last year, the great moves they did, like putting in Louis Varren. I could see them making a big splash on trade deadline again.
And I will say, I've seen a lot of negativity around the Blue Jays. They are 6-4 in their last 10, which, funny enough, in the AL is the third best out of any team in their last 10. You have the Minnesota Twins, who are 7-3, and the Yankees, who are also 6-4. The Blue Jays are now in the final wild card position, half a game ahead of the Athletics and a full game behind the Twins. So I think if you're the Jays, and I think if you're Jays Nation, I get that it's frustrating that this team has been up and down, but I think this team can still legitimately make a big run. You just hope that, you don't have Gosman lay another goose egg like he did, or hopefully they just stop bringing up Brandon Little because he somehow made his ERA even worse. So I think the Jays can still get there. Dan, I don't know if this is the year that the Jays make trades at the deadline, just because I don't know if this is a World Series caliber team, but I think this is a team that can still, make the playoffs, and at least we're seeing some big steps from Okamoto.
See, I actually disagree with you because, we talk about trends and stuff like that. If the Jays don't make a splash this trade deadline, and if they don't make the playoffs, I think it's really, really going to hurt this franchise, because you signed Vladdy of 15 years. You got to be competitive, right, in order to pay that massive contract, keep him on your roster. It's going to be hard to trade that contract. And you look at last year, you could get a Jays ticket for $9. This year, the fans are showing up. They're selling out almost every game. The tickets are expensive. People are buying the expensive seats. And if this team just goes back mediocrity and it's just a one-year fluke, it's going to take a long time to get fans to come back and trust this team again. So I'm the complete opposite with you. I think they're going to make a bigger splash this year.
The only thing I'll say, Dan, when you're talking about the big Guerrero contract, that also means you have 15 years to win a championship with him. So I think that you can't go to pressure of that and look at it as a business. You have to look at it as a team. And if you don't think this team can realistically win a World Series, which, you don't know yet. Maybe the Jays will go on a run, but it also depends too how banged up this team is by the trade deadline. If this team is really injured and it doesn't look like they can go on a run, then you don't make those moves. Don't cave to pressure. Dan, hold on. Let me finish. You don't cave to pressure just because, fans want to see a magical run again. There's a reason why, besides of the Dodgers, who just spend their way out of this, most teams don't make it to the World Series multiple times. It is one of the hardest trophies in the world to get to. And what the Jays did last year was incredible. But let's be honest, if this roster isn't healthy, they just don't have enough depth to make another World Series run this year. And I don't know about making a bunch of trades to trade prospects to fill the holes to maybe make it to the second round. To me, it's like if the team isn't a championship caliber, then leave it. Let's see what it does. Improve for next season. Like I think this pressure of, oh, we need to make sure we're selling tickets for $80 a ticket instead of $20 is stupid.
No, but it's not just that. Like last year, none of us had faith that Jason would make the World Series, Game 7 of the World Series, right? Last year we thought, hey, if they make the playoffs, if they make it to the second, third round, that's great. Now you look at guys like Vladdy and all that. Now you got faith. Hey, these guys can make the World Series. These guys did make it a Game 7 World Series against the LA Dodgers of all teams, right? You know this young group of guys can do it. And now that they can do it, get it done. Also, this is the last year of the salary cap. So spend the money now when you can and get it done.
Or can you argue
trade Buffalo, trade the farm.
Or can you argue when there's a salary cap, you have a better opportunity because you can't outspend the Dodgers. You won't have to outspend them. I just think don't make the same mistake you see, like the Leafs, for example, run it for many years. We ran it as a business worried about dollars and cents. You can't run a sports team like that. You have to run a sports team. What's your best chance to win either now or in the future? And it really just depends on how healthy or unhealthy this Blue Jay team is when it's closer to deadline. Right now, they're a wild card team, and that's great. Let's see where they are closer to deadline before you make a decision to sell the farm, like trading a guy like Venezuela to go add depth in your pitching, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm not making the decision now. I'm just saying in August, if they're at the same track record they are now in August, that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping by August they're in a better situation.
If the Jays now are where they are at deadline, I'm not making a big splash because I don't think even with adding one piece or two pieces, the way the team is today with the amount of injuries, I don't think they're a World Series caliber team. But
those guys will come back healthy.
You keep saying that, but then Scherzer pitches one game and blows his arm again. And George Springer every game seems to get hit in the foot, and he's getting old and not playing as well. If anything, the Jays might go the opposite way. You might see them sell a guy like George Springer to bring in some youth if you don't think he's re-signing. You can't make the same mistakes that other teams do and be like, well, we went to the World Series last year, so we're going to do it. That's like saying the Florida Panthers shouldn't have, realistically, Florida should have sold harder than they did in the offseason because of what they were. Or look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. They went on thinking they were the team they were 5 years ago and got booted out in the first round. Right? So the Jays, they're in a very weird window, but I just don't think it's time to hit the button and make any quick moves. But we don't have much time left in the show. But Adam, I want to ask you, World Cup, Canada needs a draw coming into the next game, correct? Bare minimum to win their group.
Yeah, they just need a draw to win the group. That's all it takes. 1 point, a oneer. That's all they need is a oneer. Don't lose and you win the group, basically. That's all.
That's pretty sweet.
And I will say, Adam, how realistic is it for Canada to get a draw at least against Switzerland? Like, do you think that's realistic?
Yes, because both teams are basically through. I would say they're basically.
I mean, if you really think about it,
if you're not through with 4 points, that's bad. If you're not through with 4 points, that's bad. There's Bosnia. Like either way, Bosnia has to overturn at least a 6-goal deficit, and Switzerland can't score for them to be second. So either way, Bosnia are in a position where they have to score a lot against Qatar, and Canada and Switzerland can't score. Basically, they would both have to draw 0-0 at the draw, and then neither can score a goal, and Switzerland can't concede against Qatar. So Switzerland's already at a disadvantage. Any way you look at it, Bosnia or Qatar are at a disadvantage given their goal difference. Both teams are at a disadvantage trying to jump one of those two teams. Like
I will put it this way: Canada shouldn't have to worry about tying, because if Swiss tied Qatar and Canada beat Qatar, I'm sure Canada can beat the Swiss.
I I would say Canada goes for a draw. There's no need to go for a win in this game. Because I think personally, knowing what Switzerland is and seeing what they did to Bosnia last game late, Switzerland have the firepower. Despite how they've been playing in this tournament, Switzerland are tournament specialists. They know what it takes. They have the talent. I think most of their squad plays in big clubs. Like, this is not exactly a team to take lightly. And if we're going to go for the win and we're open at the back, Switzerland are going to tear us apart because they have the talent to do it. And at the end of the day, I'm not taking a risk in a quarter and not even a big game. This is not a big game. This is to determine the group. But Canada's already through. Basically through at this point. Unless Qatar gives up 10 goals to Switzerland, or unless Canada concedes 3+ goals, which is very possible. I don't see a need to risk the result, the goal difference, or the result because you feel like you need to win the group. Play for the draw. I know it's a suckish way to go about this game. Play to draw. It's the easiest way to get through. Just take a point. Like, it's not crazy. Just like, because if Canada wins the group, they have an easier path. They will have an easier path in the round of 32 to get to the round of 16. I want to see this team go through. I'm not taking the risk. I'm not personally. Jesse Marsh will play to win because that's just how you play this game. You don't play to draw, but if you have the draw late, don't risk going for the win. Don't go risk going for the throat if you don't have to. There's no need to do it. A win or a draw gets you through. I personally won't take a risk. I don't think you take a risk. Switzerland have the talent. Canada needs to be disciplined defensively. Because unlike Qatar and Bosnia, Switzerland will tear us apart with ease.
You know what? I think that's a fair assessment.
I know what we're playing.
I think that's a fair assessment for Canada. Like, as long as, you know what, don't go for more than what you need to. I think this is the one time where a tie is
less
so
is
critical
more
for them. Yeah, less is more. Thank you very much, Adam. But Rick, I do agree with you in theory with Canada beating Qatar and Switzerland tying. Canada has the ability to beat Switzerland. I just hope Canada doesn't get a little overconfident after the 6-0 victory. That's my only concern. And if they think they can do that to Switzerland, I'm not even a big World Cup guy. Dan's not a World Cup guy.
Qatar and Switzerland are on different planets.
Looking up what the World Cup is. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
well, Shakeup did. Like, I don't think Canada will think that because Qatar and Switzerland are on different planets. Switzerland's 13th ranked in the world, I think, at this point.
Right.
Like, we're not playing. Like, Qatar is also 30 places back of Canada. I don't think there's a risk in Canada underestimating Switzerland at this point.
Fair. But before we wrap up the show today, I do want to let you guys know what's coming up on the Analyst Desk. Ooh. So we will be doing some sort of live coverage for the NHL draft coming up this week, along with CFL pregame shows. And there will be lots of post-game reaction of those games. Plus, hopefully we will be able to get you guys some more video game simulations of the CFL, and a NHL free agency preview show will be coming out very, very soon. Rick, while we have you, do you have any content you would like to promote coming up at Hamilton Sports Central?
So considering that we're on a bye this week, outside of Friday, Saturday, because I have to move those two CFL games to Sunday because of the NHL draft, and doing some videos on Islander prospects. Thursday, I will have the game on my channel, and then Sunday will be the other ones, the other three.
So if you're interested in CFL watch-alongs, make sure, and Rick does more than that, but I just mean if you're looking for the CFL watch-alongs, make sure you head over to Hamilton Sports Central for all of those. And there you have it. You are now up to date on what's been going on in the sports world as of June 22nd at 3:14 in the morning. I want to thank everyone for joining us at the Analyst Desk, where every day feels like game day. I'm very impressed that Dan stayed awake for this entire episode.
Yeah. I'm surprised Adam's still awake.
He hasn't even had a coffee.
Me too. I
And
blame Jacob and Dan for this.
I want to thank
us
Rick
being
from
up this
Hamilton
late.
Sports Central for joining us at the Analyst Desk once again. Adam, who has left someone else in
Hanging on
charge
by
of
a
the petting
thread.
zoo.
I'm hanging on by a thread, Jacob.
He's hanging
The
on
thread
by
is
a thread.
loosening. The thread is going away. I've gone into madness. There's no brain left. It's all mush. It doesn't
You know what,
exist
Adam?
anymore.
It all seems the same to me. And of course, Mr. Moore for your buddy,
Woo!
who is not wearing a hat, which is just confusing the hell out of me right now. I want to thank you all for joining us at the Analyst Desk, and we'll be back very, very soon. See you guys later. Have a beautiful day. And remember, every day at the Analyst Desk feels like game day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's the Analyst Desk. Welcome to the show. It's the Analyst Desk. Yeah, in case you didn't know, it's the Analyst Desk. Welcome to the show where every day feels like game day, bro.